Racing!
Good evening, lads and lasses and Sector 1 fans around the world. I am your host this evening, ASR Atom, and tonight we bring you some fantastic entertainment from the land of Austria. We are driving at the Red Bull Ring this evening in heavy wet conditions as we were last week, so the drivers have a lot to contend with this evening. I am joined for race 2 this evening by a debutant in the box, in fact. D-Flow, how are you doing, mate? You excited for this one?
Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm well. Very excited for tonight's racing.
Good stuff. So we'll come back to D-Flow later on this evening, but we will move on to our host with the most, who will be directing the race 1, and that is S1 Ghost Ops. How you doing, Sean?
I'm very well, thank you there, Adam. How are you this evening?
I'm not...
Should be an absolute rip tonight. I'm looking forward to this.
Oh yeah, it's going to be great. If the last round was anything to go by, we're in for a great time, I think. Who's been the hothead in practice? Who's been setting the best laps?
Well, we've had 3 practice races, and the Moff has taken out 2 of them, so he looks on form this evening, which is really interesting to see. And I also got a bit of a smoky as well. I reckon the other Tyrone might have something in his kit bag as well.
Oh, the other Tyrone, that would be very interesting, because I believe the other Tyrone currently sits at the top end of the Group B championship, or trophy rather. So we'll jump over to that now. The Touring Car Trophy Group B points as they stand. So this will be the race we go into first, of course. So leading the way at the moment, Flatstick, but if I remember correctly, he's making an appearance in Group A this evening. Is that correct?
That is correct, yep. He's stepped up to Group A this evening, so I know he's pretty nervous about that. But we also have a debutant in as well, but we'll cover that off in qualifying.
So the other Tyrone and Flatstick both tied on 27 points right at the top end. And the crucial side of that thing is that I don't believe there's a massive gap in points to the next division. I think the next car up is actually sitting at 28 points. So this race could be crucial for anyone wanting to make a move up to Group A for the next round. We got a good variation of teams throughout this round as well in Group B. And we'll just jump over and have a look at the Group A points as well. So you can see there at the bottom, 28 points for Daz 930, and of course 27 for Flatstick and the other Tyrone as well. So it's very close, all the way up to about 12th or 11th there. Anyone could go up or down. So being the wet conditions as well, the car choice for the season could come into play here, given that most of the time we're driving in dry conditions, and of course tonight we're in the wet. So I believe we are not far away from getting quali underway. How are the guys looking, Ghost?
Yep, they're looking very good. I think they're eager beavers, so we'll get them underway, I reckon.
Alrighty. Give them the green flag. If I'm not mistaken, we are looking at a couple of grid spot penalties as well tonight, are we?
Yep, so VF and Jim Bob will be serving 2-spot grid penalties for late withdrawals in the last round. So they'll have to contend with that, and being wet and in the mid-pack is probably somewhere where you don't want to be.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've seen the carnage that ensues into T1. Did we have any major issues in any of the test starts for any drivers there?
Yeah, we did have test start 3. They were 5 wide into turn 1.
Wow.
Make that of what you will, but yes. So I'm expecting maybe a little bit of drama there early.
Alright, so we'll get the guys off and running. So, currently leading the way, we have Jim Bob in the Merlin NSX. Or actually, he's not leading the way. The timing tower has got me all mixed up here. There we go, I think it's sorted itself out there just about. So, the other Tyrone actually out the front at the moment, driving the Hyundai. So, Death Grip Racing having changed for this round. I think we saw a couple of guys driving the Hyundai for them last round, and they were struggling with it a little bit from memory.
Yeah, they definitely struggled a little bit. What I'm finding interesting as well, looking at some of these onboards, is which guys are running traction control and which ain't.
Okay.
It's actually quite surprising. So looking at the other Tyrone here, he's definitely running traction control at the moment.
Okay. It might be fair to drive traction control on your outlap for qualifying, having said that, just to look after the tyres, but I'm pretty confident it's not a huge issue here. So moving down the field, Carbon Boy in second position at the moment. So he's driving the McLaren, the Tamar Car's McLaren. So he's making his debut from the Community Series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, so he's had a couple of races of the Community Series. I actually know this guy personally, been mates with him for 20 odd years, so I know he's pretty pumped for tonight and pretty nervous.
Oh yeah, nerves will definitely play a part, and being in the wet is no less sketchy, is it? So that should be a good time for him. The Stranger in the Dodge, another one who we were familiarly seeing rather in the Community Series as well. So he's another graduate as well from memory.
Yep, another graduate, and definitely gets my bravery award driving that big V10 Viper in the wet. Fair play, good friend.
Well, he's very close to Carbon Boy here on their qualifying lap as well, potentially trying to steal a little bit of slipstream, but he'll be hoping that doesn't compromise his run through the lap. Shizer next on the track, or the Kazi one, in fact, in the Ferrari. Looks like he may have just made an overtake on the first corner. There may have been a mistake from someone there. I think the Red Mist boys have been saying they're not really super keen on this particular round. They're struggling for pace a little bit in that Ferrari, and obviously they've got to live up to a little bit, given that the Ferrari actually won Group A in the hands of Brocky. Although of course I don't know if that counts for much, given how alien he is to the rest of us, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't think we take much notice of that. He's in another realm, really.
I'm sure it's a good car nonetheless. The MR cars do tend to be pretty good around here. Another one in the MR car is the Porsche of EBMS Mitch, Shane Mitchell, driving for Deeds Racing. So he's driving the Cayman. I haven't seen a fantastic result yet from the Cayman as of last week in the wet, but given that it's MR or RR, depending on whatever way you want to look at it, it should be a pretty decent option around here.
It should be. It's very well balanced, the Cayman, but I have, speaking of the Ragged Edge boys, they did say it doesn't feel very nice around here at all. It feels a bit sketchy under brakes. But I'm sure Mitch, he's a pretty seasoned operator, so I'm sure he'll get the best out of it.
Yeah, he's been around for some time now, hasn't he?
Certainly has. We've got an first indicative time there, other Tyrone with a 150.189.
Sets the benchmark for the boys. DeBrev also, he's driving the Alpha for the Chill Out boys. Carbon Boy just sneaks in with a 50.7, so no one dipping into the sub-50s as of yet. 50s and 51s coming across. Yeah, starting to spread out a bit now. Field's starting to settle itself down a little bit. So I think these guys will have time for another hot flying lap before they go in for a pit stop for some fresh tyres and go again.
I did see, it looks like Shizer came in. Yeah, I thought so. I saw that in the corner of my eye. Shizer's actually come to the pits early, so he's aboard that lap. He's come in. He did spin on his first flying lap there, so maybe that's just to come in, get a fresh set of boots, get some clear traffic, and hopefully set a nice quick time.
Okay. What is Shizer driving? I couldn't quite see it there from the pit box.
Shizer is in the Jag.
The Jag. So that's an interesting one, because he was looking pretty good in practice, wasn't he?
He was looking good at practice. Of course, being a Jag driver, he did not buy his race suit or his race helmet, because that's what Jag drivers do.
All right. Yeah, so he's going for a bit of a different strategy and pitting in early for some tyres. Potentially, just like you say, he may have binned off that first lap. A couple of these guys on the track will be hot right now. A couple of them will be on their in-laps. So we will see if we can find who is out front. Tyrone. So Tyrone set the fastest lap in the Hyundai car we haven't seen a lot of great things from so far in this wet race, and he is finishing this lap as it sits. So he's not going into the pits. He's going to set another time now. We'll see if he goes faster than his 50.1. Can he dip into the 59s here? Or 49s rather.
Took a lot of curb there.
Yep.
At Red Bull Mobile.
I don't see a penalty.
He does go slow.
Not quite an improvement
Got
for
away
him.
with it.
Carbon Boy will be next across the line in the McLaren. What does he do? He improves. He gets very
nice
close.
lap.
Wow. Less than 2 tenths between them now. A couple of other guys coming across, setting times as well. S. Mitch has gone well there. Jim Bob.
Jim Bob.
Wow. So he splits the top two. 50.247. Excellent job in the Honda.
Very, very nice job there by Jim Bob. He wasn't overly confident when we spoke to him pre-race, but he did say he had a solid session of practice today, and he felt a lot better in the Merlin NSX, and that beautiful green as well, as Flat Stick joins the route.
Oh, very interesting. I think so. He was making the step up to Group A this evening, wasn't he?
Yeah, we thought that. So, but we'll keep an eye on that.
Womble goes into the pits.
Filthy
He's
Filthy down there in sixth position.
Sixth for Filthy. So he's in the McLaren as well. Okay. The McLarens aren't looking too bad around here. They're both in the top 10 there, aren't they? We've got one in third and one in sixth place. So not looking like a bad bet. I think we saw a finish of second position in Group A last week for the McLaren.
Seems to be people seem to enjoy the McLaren. I've had a drive it. I didn't like its power delivery. It didn't suit me. But
well, of course,
the guys I spoke to have driven.
Yeah, so some people are fans of it. It's with the current balance of performance we've got. We've obviously switched from the original settings that the guys developed back to GT Sport Bop for these cars with no fuel burn. And the McLaren has always been a particularly strong car in the GT Sport Bop. The other thing about the McLaren that's very interesting is it has to be shifted early to get the best power out of it. So once you get over kind of halfway up that little bar you get given, it... we've got a 49, yes.
Yeah, the other Tyrone just dropped a 49.885. That's a fantastic lap. That's going to take a power of beating.
Yep, so what's his gap to Jim Bob now? He's put 0.362 on him as Jim Bob puts it into the wall on exit of the final corner. Okay, so that would have been a bit of an incident on the sausage curve, I imagine. Can get a little bit slippy out there.
It's running on board with Shizer at the moment because he is on that alternate sort of strategy here. Not lining up the timing boards. Just riding on board with the Jag at the moment. One thing I will mention, oversteer, and lots of it.
Oh yeah, I bet it does. Being FRs, the FRs aren't generally favoured in the wet conditions, of course, because with all that weight over the rear in the MR cars, they tend to put the power down quite well. Is he setting a lap time here? Oh, he does.
Oh, goes a second though.
Wow.
Look at that.
Brilliant job from Shizer. So showing what we were seeing a bit of in practice, that raw pace. And making the Jag work as well. That's really good stuff from Shizer. I'm very impressed by that.
It didn't look comfortable on board, that's for sure. So he's really getting up on the wheel with that.
Having said that, we've got two FR cars at the top end of the grid. Now that's something I don't think any of us expected to see this week.
Look at the other Tyrone here. He's got that Hyundai absolutely hooked up at the moment. Look at it. Looks beautiful through. So it comes through Rint there. Now down into Red Bull Mobile. Slight sketchy there on the brakes. The rear did want to lock up. A little bit of oversteer on the exit. Does he go quicker again?
Well, he's already got a 49. He'd be happy he goes a 10th faster. Wow. Excellent stuff from the other
Massive
Tyrone.
lap.
He really wants that Group A spot, doesn't he?
Yep, very keen. Jim Bob still in third. Great effort. Big shout out to Carbon Boy, fifth on debut. Fantastic effort there.
It's not over yet. They could still set another lap as of yet. There's still 30 seconds or 20 seconds rather left on the clock. So anyone who gets around shortly can go again. And they're still setting times. Jim Bob, what's he got in the tank?
Oh, straight. Oh, the stranger nearly threw it in the fence there. Coming out of Louder Curve.
I see he's very slow on the way down the straight there. That'll be his last chance as well. VF goes to third in the NSX.
He needs to do that with his two-spot grid penalty. So
oh yes,
definitely him and Jim Bob. So they need to get up there as high as possible.
So they've got
limit
two.
The damage.
Are they the only ones with penalties as they are?
That's correct. So VF and Jim Bob will the two. So at the moment, that will promote Carbon Boy up to third on the grid, and Mitch will move up as well. So that's a massive.
That's a great drive from both of
there.
those guys. Really good. A Womble. Oh, I thought that was a change in the standings. It looked like there was a little bit of a jump on the timing board. Womble puts himself P10 and ahead of his teammate Kazi as well. So the two Ferraris just on the fringes of the top 10.
So these boys on their last lap now. The other Tyrone will keep just watching him at the moment. Comes through Rink. He's so good through there.
Oh yeah, he's coming around final corner now.
Takes a little bit of curb at Red Bull
Much
Mobile.
less slide on
not too
exit
much
there, though. That looks really good.
Does it go
Oh,
quick?
not
No, it
quite.
doesn't go quick up.
Is Shizer still on that?
Shizer's
He's done. Jim Bob's still out there.
VF's
VF's still out there.
Yep. VF's not lighting the time and scream up, so we'll go back with Jim Bob.
He's coming through the final sector now.
Yeah.
He's got a couple of cars in front of him too. They could still yet set times.
Oh, EBM Mitch pops it in a 5th. Nice lap.
That's good stuff. Well, that actually demotes Carbon Boy down out of the podium spots with the grid spot penalties as well.
Yep.
Jim Bob goes to
Jim
third.
Bob, up to 3rd. Great lap.
Very well done. He needed that as well. So that'll be 5th on the starting grid, won't it? Debrev, yep. Good time. I think it looks like kind of the 150s are the benchmark time for these guys at the moment.
With the other Tyrone all on his own out there in the 49s.
Righto, don't forget your photo of that grid.
Yep.
So the race will be red flagged for these guys. So Ghost will give them a red flag and get them away from the grid so you can reset it and apply those grid spot penalties. But a bit of an up and down for quali. We've got a hungry man in the form of the other Tyrone who really wants to get into that Group A spot, who's qualified himself on pole in the Hyundai as well. That is fantastic stuff from him. Death Grip will be stoked with that one. Always get red flagged. And Shizer as well put it on 2nd as well, which is another FR car right at the front of the grid. Which, like I said before, not something we expected to see. The FRs tend to struggle a little bit in the wet, but these guys seemingly making it work and getting it done. And that'll be pretty crucial when we come back to the dry races, because of course that advantage for the MR cars kind of goes out the window. So that should be good for them.
We did see in the a couple of test starts that the FR cars definitely struggled to get off the line.
That's very true. So traction will be an issue straight off the bat as well. So they might even get swamped into T1 depending on who they've got behind them. I think the Alphas are quite good off the line, particularly. And most of the MRs will generally be faster than them off the line. But given that they are naturally aspirate, well, I think the Jag is actually supercharged, but still both pretty decent as far as traction is concerned when it comes to engine type, but given that the weight's over the front, they are going to struggle to get that power down a little bit. So we'll just take one more look at the points for your information. So the other Tyrone there, of course, and Flatstick, who is null and void for this race, given that he is racing in Group A. The other Tyrone will be looking to get max points out of this one, so he's got himself pole position. That's already 2 points in the bag. If he gets the win, that's another 18. And then fastest lap is also worth 1 point, so he could see himself as high up as 48 points after this race, which would be massive. And I think he'd be a bit of a shoo-in into Group A after that sort of performance. But there's still a lot of work to be done. Quali does not equal race finish. But a couple of other guys near the top of that tree as well that have qualified very well. Filthy, one of them. Shane Mitchell as well for Deeds, up there as well. Both of those guys, I think, with grid spot penalties, if not mistaken. No appearance from Streetle Juice. He is, of course, replaced by Carbon Boy on his debut, who also had a good start there as well. Good quali from him. How are we looking, Ghost? Is everyone behaving themselves?
Yeah, we're just trying to get everyone to enter first. That'll be a good start. And then we can get underway. So I'm just getting this grid up. Yeah. All right, let's get into it.
Brilliant stuff. So 40 minutes of racing at the Red Bull Ring in the wet for our drivers this evening. It's going to be a huge challenge, and it's going to be very interesting to see who emerges on top of this one. It's going to be difficult from start to finish. I believe there's also 2 mandatory stops to be made, and we saw a big variation in strategies from the guys last week. Some guys pitting as early as the end of lap 1 just to get themselves out of the pack and in some clear air. So pit stop strategy could be crucial for this one as well. So we'll keep an eye out for that one too. Of course, fuel not a factor for these guys anymore. We have no fuel burn on because there was too much disparity between the cars. So we've eliminated that, and tyre wear will be next to unnoticeable in this race, apart from when the guys put on fresh boots versus the guys who are 5 or 6 laps deep. That could make a difference. The guys are all entered up as it sits. The grid is just getting organised. Do you have the details of the grid there, Ghost? You're all set with that?
All set. Just trying to work out these grid spot penalties. Always does my head in.
Yeah, a bit of quick maths on a Sunday night's always good, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have a quick look at the team's championship as it sits as well. So Ragged Edge Racing leading the way for the trophy. The trophy series. Cornerstone closely following them, only 3 points back, and then there's a huge gap back to Obsession with 84. So it looks like it's a bit of a two-horse race at the moment for the trophy as far as the teams are concerned. A couple of guys in the 80s there, racing cars like Legends as well, and then several guys in the 70s, Blacklight and Deeds tied on 78 points with Dadson close behind with 76. So it's still mostly all to play for, of course, looking like a two-horse race at the front end, but either of those two could take it, so it could be changed with a snap of the fingers just like that. So do keep an eye on it and make sure you've got your support for your team in chat there. Keep the hype high for these guys, because I'm sure they're going to need it in these conditions. It's miserable in Austria today.
Yep, track is a heavy 8 and the rail is out 6 metres. So last bets, get your bets on. Please gamble responsibly.
We did see incidents at T1 in a couple of the practice races, and I think we saw one or two last week perhaps. T1 can be very dangerous. We could see guys going 3 or 4 wide as well, especially with those FR cars on the front end of the grid. So it could be a spicy meatball, I think.
Okay, we have a grid ready, set to go.
All right, let's get them underway.
Okay, let's go. Race start and let's get them underway.
40 minutes of racing at the Red Bull Ring in the wet is about to get underway. Buckle yourselves in and strap yourselves up, or the other way around, depending on how you feel. We are about to get very exciting here. I'll let you lead them away, Ghost.
Oh, thank you, good son. So here we are, Red Bull Ring. It is quite damp. Windscreen wipers are on. It'll be the other Tyrone leading them away from pole. Shizer in second. EBM Mitch there in third. Carbon Boy on debut there in fourth position. And now the revs are rising. Tension rising. Pressure rising. You know the score. It's Sunday night. It's Sector 1 Sim Racing, Australia's premier sim racing channel. And we are racing! Looks like everyone's got off the line quite well now as they head down towards Lowther Curve. Shizer's going to get absolutely swamped here. Look at Carlin Boy. He's keen as mustard. He wants to lead this early on debut. Is he going to go 3 wide? Tyrone sweeps across. Carbon Boy in a second. What a great start there from the Obsession driver. Shizer slides it into third position now. EBM Mitch now struggling a little bit as VF looks keen as mustard to make up for that grid spot penalty as they head down the long front back straight technically. Up now towards Remus. Oh, they look at the
There's
background.
a huge
look at the
pack back there. Wow. Everyone just trying to keep it safe through there, and we've had minimal incidents, although there's filthy wide. There's a bit of contact through the second corner, or third corner, depending on how seriously you take this track. 2 Ferraris side by side as well. Don't hit your teammate. First rule of motorsport, of course.
Shizer's got past Carbon Boy. Up in the second now. He's got to get after the other Tyrone early here. But he gets a little sketchy there out of turn 3. Oh, Jimbob's gone! Jimbob's gone! Jimbo went and made some sandcastles.
And the Honda NSX as well. He'll be very disappointed with that one, of course. Let's have a look back at that on our Auto 1 replay. There he is. So he got 2 wheels in the gravel trap there, it looks like. So he's dropped himself way back down there, unfortunately. But I don't think he's quite out of this race as of yet. Shizer with a rear view mirror full of Carbon Boy. He wants it bad, this boy, on debut. And VF is there as well. VF is looking very dangerous.
Carbon Boy just got a little loose there out of Red Bull Mobile and it gave VF a run, but that McLaren has got some serious poke in a straight line.
It's got to be one of the fastest in a line, that car, and it's of course got fantastic traction. Oh, they're both wide. VF gets it turned
Yeah.
in, but Carbon Boy may have overshot the track limits there and got himself a penalty. We'll see as we go down the straight. Get about halfway down, we'll figure it out.
Does he come with an invoice? He'll be sweating on this.
He's away with that one, but that has put him a long way back from Shizer. He's in clear air now, Shizer, and he is in hunt mode, ready to go after the other Tyrone, I think. They're looking good up
Say
there.
like Tyrone's, he's starting to walk away with this already. He's 2.3 seconds to the good. But Shizer's just starting to reel that in a little bit.
Well, Shizer
really needs a good 2 or 3 laps.
Shizer's had a good amount of pressure on his back bumper for the good part of the first lap or so, as he goes wide into that corner there. Nowhere near an apex for that one, but he has got his full focus on the other Tyrone now. I think he doesn't have to worry about the guys behind him too much, as he's got the clear air on both sides, so he'll be looking to get up as quick as he can.
I just went down the field there, so Womble just had a bit of a moment as well, so that's dropped him down to 10th position.
We'll have a look at that. Jump on board with Womble for that one. Oh, he's gone wide and into the gravel trap at the third corner. Not a mistake we're not used to seeing. It's very easy to overshoot your brake markers in these cars. And just a little bit past the right braking point and you will see yourself flying off the course. It's very dangerous in these wet conditions. A lot worse than when you're in the dry. They're starting to spread out a little bit now. EBMS Mitch is hanging tough with that 5th position though. He's looking very good where he is. And the guys in front of him might actually battle it out a little bit to bring him even closer.
Of course, they would run, I believe, 2 compulsory pit stops this evening.
Have we seen anyone enter the pits as of yet?
Not as of yet.
So no one going for the funky strategies in this one. We did see some guys going very early last race. It looked like there was a bit of a concertina up there for those guys into T1. There's a few guys on top of each other. Filthy is all over the back of the Stranger. Is he going to go for a move? He looks to the outside as we come up to turn 2/3. He's got the overspeed. He's got his nose ahead. They're side by side. There's a bit of contact into the braking zone. They're both going to make the apex here. Who's got the traction out of the corner? That Viper has fantastic wheels on the rear end. It will get it down. They're still side by side as they come down the straight. There's nothing to split them, but Filthy is powering away as they come towards that corner. Wow.
That McLaren is an absolute rocket ship.
That's fantastic. And the Viper's no slouch in the line as well. We've seen it pull some really good time on some cars, so that just goes to show that McLaren's looking really good. And the NSX now as well, right there.
I was just about to say that. Jim Bob's got a bit of a sniff here.
He's looking at the back of the Stranger. The Stranger's probably still focused on Filthy, but any second now he might look at his rearview mirror and go, oh no, there's a Jim Bob there. This is concerning. Jim Bob's wide. There's a loose moment there for Stranger as well. Wow. Jim Bob's going to get the run on the outside. He's going to go for the switch to the inside. Not quite going to make it happen, but he's right there. Ooh, nearly puts 2 wheels on the grass as well. Is he going to go for a move here?
He's brave.
This is unconventional to go for a move here. No, he's sensible. He backs out of it.
Just checking back up the front. That lead's just stagnated, still at 2.5 seconds.
Looks like Shizer's got no answer for Tyrone at the moment, but it is anyone's game still. One little mistake from Tyrone could make all the difference. It's very easy to lose a lot of time here all at once, but Carbon Boy as well. He's not dropping off the back of Shizer like we thought he would either. He's hanging tough.
Doing a great job at the moment. He's actually gapping VF a little bit as well. I think he's worked out where the strengths of the McLaren are, and he's just got to get off the corner right, and he knows he's got the power to pull away. So if he can just work a little bit harder here, as I say that, just gets a little loose there out of turn 3.
Oh, that's
4,
allowed
VF
to get right in there as well. It looks like it's anyone's game for second place right now. These guys are very, very close together as far as gaps between them are concerned. VF, is he going to look for a move on Carbon Boy? He's right on him.
And I think the Stranger had a moment as well. He's dropped back to 8th now, so Filthy's up to 6th, Jim Bob in 7th.
Well, that's good. So it was Jim Bob that had a grid place penalty, wasn't it? So he's working his way back.
That's correct.
All right. Well, that McLaren, he's making it work. He's getting the job done. Great car control from VF here. You see him controlling the slide through the corners. Little minor corrections with the steering wheel. We'll probably see him do it again here as well. He's all over the back of Carbon Boy, and there's not much Carbon Boy can do here. How good is he under
Very
pressure?
interesting here as well. Carbon Boy is running no traction control. VF is running traction control.
Okay. Got to work a bit harder as well here, although there probably is a traction advantage for the McLaren, as we said. The MR cars tending to have it pretty good, but a little bit of contact there through the final corner as well. Carbon Boy seeming a little bit too slow for VF through that corner, so he gave him a little bit of a kiss on the rear end, as it were. As they head down the main straight, start lap 5 here. They're dropping EBMS match as well. Maybe a mistake back there. The gap's now nearly 2.5 seconds and climbing.
We do have a nice spicy battle brewing between 10th and 11th. It is the Moth versus Excalibur. We do love these battles here at S1. Father versus son.
This is big, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, the Moth's got the wood over him at the moment, which is great to see. I know everyone, all the viewers are loving seeing that. But, of course, the Moth, a fantastic supporter of Sector 1 with Aussie Hampton, of course, sponsoring the Community Series.
Yes, yeah. Aussie Hampton. They've been a part of it for a long time, haven't they?
Very long time. And the Moth's, of course, been around for a long time. He actually never really got into sim racing before the Sector 1, really. So, just goes to show that the power of Sector 1 and the power of sim racing. And he saw his son race. He thought, oh, I might give this a go myself. And at the moment, he's showing his son a trick or two.
Yeah, the age-old question, what came first, the father or the son? And it looks like the son was the first one into the game, and he inspired his father to get amongst it as well. And the teacher became the student, it seems. Following him as close as he can, but he's breaking slipstream there, the Moth, so he's just starting to pull away a little bit, stretch his legs in that NSX. I think VF and Carbon Boy are still joint at the hip up in 4th and 3rd. It looks like VF's not working too hard to try to get by him. Either that or he simply can't, because that McLaren, of course, we saw the pace it had in a straight line. It's going to be very tough to get by it, because the straight line, realistically, is the best place to overtake at this track, especially with the advantage of the slipstream. But if he hasn't got the guts in the straight line, it's not really going to happen for him, save for a mistake.
Really, realistically, you need to get a good run through Red Bull or the last turn there. Try and get alongside, force him to the outside, and maybe just pressure him into maybe outbraking himself, because at the moment, it's like when MotoGP comes here, it's the Yamaha versus the Ducati at the moment.
Yeah, there is an interesting aspect as well in the wet. That technically it's the 3rd corner, or 2nd corner, the big hairpin at the top of the hill, as it were. It's got multiple lines through it, it seems. It's very easy, or it's more than possible, rather, to go for a move around the outside there. And we've seen a couple of people do it, so it's a very good opportunity to overtake, even if you do get forced to the outside. So we may see moves being made there.
Checking in on Jim Bob at the moment as well. He's actually really closing that gap down to EBM Mish here. He is on a big charge.
So he's currently got 2.7 seconds there. There is a slightly smaller gap to Filthy behind, although, if I'm not mistaken, was Jim Bob behind Filthy before?
He was, yep. I just checked in into that again, so either Filthy's had a moment, or Jim Bob's just decided to put the foot down.
Yeah, he's making that NSX work.
Lighting up the...
He's purple, yeah.
Lighting up the timing screens, yeah.
Purple through that sector. Current best time as well is a 49.9. Crucially, no one who was over... I think only one person broke the 50-second mark in qualifying, and that was the other Tyrone. And Jim Bob is now purple mid-race. And the other Tyrone just set a faster lap as well, 49.8. So he's currently improved his fastest lap, but Jim Bob might be set to break it yet again. Comes across the line. That fastest lap, of course, worth an extra point. He does get it.
There it is.
49.7. So that's a point in the bag for Jim Bob temporarily, or provisionally rather. If he can hold that on to the end of the race.
That gap's nearly down under 2 seconds as well.
Oh,
Jim Bob is flying.
He's
here.
reeling him in very quickly now. That's nearly a second over the course of that lap. That's a lot of time.
Here we go. VF's about to make a move on Carbon Boy here.
Oh, he's up the inside. There's a bit of contact.
Close.
He's turning in there.
Oh.
Gets out wide on exit, and he's actually lost the slipstream on exit. So Carbon Boy manages to keep it together for that one.
Great job from Carbon Boy.
So we'll look at a replay now. The Aussie Hampton car goes up the inside. He does get there, but he can't quite get it stuck on the apex, and Carbon Boy just cuts his nose off. Firm but fair defence, I think, there from Carbon Boy. Can't quite get it done for VF, but he will have another go. I'm absolutely sure of it. And as well, you mentioned also, Ghost, I think VF was using traction control. Do you think that's limiting him on exit to that corner a little bit?
I think so. With the traction control in Gran Turismo Sport, I find it very intrusive. So it cuts the power quite severely. So if you do need to just slide it out of the corner a little bit, traction control says, I don't think so. So maybe for the second part of the race, maybe swallow a couple of those big bad Brave pills and turn her off and see how you go.
Yeah, maybe towards the end of the stint as well, if you're thinking about your tyres perhaps. Yep. So for those who don't know or aren't familiar with the game, there are Shizers. No, Tyrone and Shizer. Yep. Okay, so first of the pit stops, end of lap 7. So 13 minutes into the race now, 40-minute race. That leaves them, so 27 minutes now left of the race. So looking at about 13 and a half minutes a stint. So we're probably going to be looking at 7-7-7 as a pit strategy for these guys.
Jim Bob's in as well. The Stranger's in. Debrev's in. So, okay, so we've got 4 drivers running alternate. So Carbon Boy, VF, EBM Mitch, and Filthy. Rolling the dice and trying something a little bit different here.
So has that saved Mitch from the clutches of Jim Bob, as it were? Temporarily.
100%.
Although we might see an undercut from that as well.
Do we think the undercut will be strong here with the really lack of tyre wear?
It may not be particularly strong, but given the way that Jim Bob was chopping time out of Mitch there, I think he might get him anyway. And that undercut might just be the nail in the coffin there that gets him just ahead. But it will be very interesting to see if he comes by on Shane's pit exit. That'll be very interesting to watch. So we will keep an eye on that when he comes in.
So Shizer's caught Excalibur here, which is not great for him because he really needed to jump Excalibur here. So we've got the Death Grip racing cars now running line astern. A little bit of inter-team games here, maybe.
So on the radio? Oh, yes, I see. So Excalibur, has he pitted yet? He hasn't, has he?
Not yet.
Okay. So this could be... Of course, you never want to talk about it and you never want to see it, but this could be gamesmanship from the Death Grip guys, chucking one of the guys in between them just to hold them up for a lap or two while they try to pull a little bit of an extra gap. This could make a huge difference to the race, and of course, Excalibur is under no obligation to get out of the way for Shizer, even though he is technically not racing him at this point.
Shizer has been around a while. He's seen every trick in the book, so he'll be... Carbon Boy comes in.
Yep.
VF goes around again.
What about Shane? Is Shane going again as well?
Yep, he certainly is.
He's gone for another lap as well. So these guys are going very long. So that'll just accentuate the undercut as well. So that might make even more of a difference. So we could see Jim Bob completely clear Mitch here.
Oof. Excalibur made the world's latest decision on pit entry there.
Oh, wow.
But he made it. He just made it.
Did it come with an invoice? That's what I want to know. Because you can cut the pit entry there a little bit if you go in a little bit too late.
Oh.
I think he might be alright.
I think he'll be okay.
Keep an eye on him as he comes out, because that's generally the first time it shows.
Whoa! The other Tyrone through turn 1, just right out sideways.
We'll have a look at that. We'll get on board with that on a replay with this. So he comes in for a late apex, gets on the power, and that FR just does not really want to behave there. Kicks the back out for a moment, but a good save from the other Tyrone. So excellent car control, and that's the way you're going to win this race, I think.
Oh, he pulled out the car. I was about to say we haven't had a car control tonight. And there we go, our first one.
Well, it's not from the one and only, though, is it? It didn't come from Ghost. Does it really count?
I tell you, I'm just having a look here at the times here, and Carbon Boy's, he's 3.5 off Shizer here, which is a fantastic drive in itself. But if he could just maybe find a little bit extra, he might be on here to maybe catch Shizer in the later stages.
Well, he looks like he's on for a podium at this stage, doesn't he?
Now, I don't know. So VF's the key here. So VF's in. This is the big pit stop right here.
All right, we'll keep an eye on VF as he comes in. Does Shane come in as well? Shane goes around again. So he's going for 10 laps on his first stint. So valuing the clear air above all, he's going again. The other question is, does he know about the mandatory pit stop? Has he forgotten about that particular case? Because that is a possibility. A one-stop is possible here, given the tyre wear levels. Has he forgotten about that, and is he going for a one-stop?
Oh, if I'm Team Owner Karen, I'm jumping on that radio quicker than you can say, "What are you doing, mate?" And saying, knock,
But we're
knock.
coming up halfway through the race as well. 22 and a half minutes to go. He's not far off that halfway point where you would be pitting if you were going for a one-stop.
So I'm on board with Carbon Boy here at the moment. Does VF get the undercut? Scheiser's gone!
Scheiser's binned
not
it!
around!
Exit of T1.
Huge moment! Huge moment in the race!
Upshot of that is VF is also ahead of Scheiser, and Carbon Boy has jumped VF there as well. Or was he previously ahead? He was previously ahead.
He was already
He's
in front,
extended
but
the
he's
gap. That's
gapping
nearly
it.
2 seconds.
And he's purple.
Wow.
Carbon Boy has lit the wick. Ooh, don't. Yeah, that's it, yeah.
So we'll jump on board here
Don't catch
with
chickens.
Scheiser for the replay of T1. What happened here? Gets on the power, gets far too sideways, lets it go, and spins it right around the opposite way. So a bit of snap oversteer there as well, adding more insult to injury. So he loses 2 positions in 1 corner. So that's huge. That is absolutely race changing for Scheiser there. But he could potentially pull those positions back if he plays his cards right. The other Tyrone,
Plenty of time in this
provisional
race.
first, or sorry, net first technically if you look at the pit stop strategies as they sit, with a 9.5 second
Mitch
lead.
is going around again.
Yeah, I think we might be onto something here with the one stop strategy. Yeah. So the Deeds boys, they've lost their fuel man of course, but now they're having issues with the tyre man too. Or chasing up those
and the strategy man.
Mandatory pit stops. They're not quite on with it yet, so he needs to get in soon because he's got to come in again.
Yeah. See what happens when you drink too many jelly donut beers? It all turns to an absolute shambles.
So 9.5 seconds the other Tyrone has over Carbon Boy at the moment. So he's looking pretty comfy for this win. His only real challenger was Scheiser, of course. But he's now P5.
How good is this battle between VF and Carbon Boy? It is on again.
Still going, is it? Carbon Boy is all over him. So how did he catch him there? That was 2 seconds. That gap? That's insane.
Oh, that must be so frustrating for VF though. He catches right up under braking into the apex of the corner, and then Carbon Boy stands on that McLaren V8 and it's just gone.
Yeah, the straight line speed car always has the advantage when it comes to track position. If it's in front, it's very hard to get by it because as soon as you stick your nose up the inside, you can get as far as alongside as you like, but if you don't have that power on exit, we've lost someone.
Womble's gone. Womble's gone.
Oh, that's a big issue.
And Excalibur and Stranger, something's happened there as well. Oh, the race has gone off. Here we go. 20 minutes to go, and it's all gone crazy.
We'll have a look at a replay, see if we can catch that disconnect. So Excalibur had a penalty. So he's burned a penalty on the main straight and allowed the Stranger to come by on the outside of T1. Oh, they've both gone deep, actually. So they've both missed their brake marker into T1 and gone way off the track. There's no tarmac out there, boys. But not quite worked out for them there, so that's left them a long way back there. Mitch is in. Mitch is coming in from the front of the field, so I think he is going for that one stop, so the Deeds boys are going to have to do something about this. On a side note as well, the other Tyrone has set a 149.5 for the fastest lap, so there's that point back to him again, provisionally.
It's a bit of a masterclass at the moment from the other
He's
Tyrone.
dominating this one.
He is definitely a Group A caliber driver, there's no doubt about it.
Yep. It's art in motion right now for the other Tyrone.
Oh, Carbon Boy, hold on to it, son. Oh, he got right outside. Could have been a lot worse, but that's allowed VF now to move up into second position.
There's that position change that he was looking for. Let's see if he can pull away now. We'll have a quick look at a replay from Carbon Boy. As he comes through the final corner, he was nose to tail with VF and just gets on the power a little bit too early. Fishtail's left, Fishtail's right, has to get off it, and that's what allows VF to go through. So, great car control from Carbon Boy there to keep it under wraps and not turn around, but he's lost out of position because of it. Can he get it back?
He knows he's got the power, so the key here for him now is just to look at VF though. Now VF really knows he's got to break that slipstream.
He has as well. He's out to nearly 8 tenths now, although that McLaren's pulling it back. It's got the legs in a straight line. This could be all on for the last half of the race. Little bit of an apex miss there from VF, and Carbon Boy nailed that corner. He hooked 2 wheels into the Astra on the inside, but almost nothing he can do. VF's car is just far too quick out of the corners. That's amazing. That NSX is really pulling time on him now. That's out to 1 second. This could be all over.
So we look down the field. There's no real other battles down the field at the moment. Looks like Filthy
Jim Bob's
maybe catching Mitch.
Jim Bob's back a little bit further than we thought he might be. He was very strong towards the end of the first stint, but we thought he'd be kind of alongside Shane Mitchell at this point. But he's down in 8th place. He's had some sort of error somewhere.
Have a look. Just looking at Jim Bob's tyre wear at the moment, he's really used those rears a lot more than anyone else.
How are everyone's tyres looking, actually, if we look through the field?
The other Tyrones are pretty much beautiful. VFs and Carbon Boys are very nice as well. Shies has used a little bit more, but that's not surprising in the big J.
Oh, yeah. He had a spin as well, of
Mitch,
course.
Well, Mitch's tyres are brand new.
Yeah, he's just come out of the pits. Everyone else is about to come back in as well.
Filthy just held on to that. His tyres are fine. The Brevs in the little Alpha look very nice. Jim Bob's are definitely the worst out of the bunch, though, by far.
When did Jim Bob pit? Do you remember at what point he was in?
Yeah, he was one of the early stoppers.
That was lap 6 or 7, I think. So he's only done 7 or so laps on these tyres, so he hasn't pushed them too far. He is purple through Sector 1 as well, though. So he could steal this fastest lap point from the other Tyrone again.
Oh, Carbon Boy. We thought VF was pulling away here, but Carbon Boy's just reeled him back in a little bit here again.
Wow. He's really making him work for it. These guys are joint at the hip.
This has been a fantastic battle all race.
It looks like there's a couple of tussles on track, actually. If you look at the track map, there's a couple of pairs of cars that can't really be separated at the moment.
Moff and the crazy one are having a nice little battle down there in 9th and 10th as well.
Yep, so they're within slipstream range as well, so the crazy one could have a go on the next lap, I think. He's not close enough to think about something here. But the Moff, we saw him neck and neck with Excalibur earlier, of course. We have seen Excalibur serve a penalty as well, but he's really pulled a gap to him. There's over 10 seconds between them now. That's huge. And of course, 12th position is now also P final at this stage, given the unfortunate disconnect of Womble. So not his first rodeo when it comes to disconnects as well. I believe he's had one of those in a previous instance. But those guys at the back,
he was actually,
they're close together.
He was actually in the lead the last time it happened. So
that's right, yeah.
It looks like Carbon Boy's had a real big moment there. I just missed it, but the gap's out to 1.7 now. Yeah, he's definitely had a moment because Shies has closed in at 2.5 seconds.
All right, we'll jump on board for a replay there. No, we're not quite going to catch what happened because the gap at the exit of T1 was the same as it is now. But we'll keep our eye on it. It's a pretty decent gaps between these guys at the moment.
Other Tyrone, 11 seconds out in front. This has been an exemplary drive.
Yeah, he's done a fantastic job. And in an FR car as well, I've said it once and I'll say it again, he's done a fantastic job. Of course, we've seen Shizer doing well in the Jag as well, but you saw how sketchy it was on the exit of T1 that caused him to spin. It's so hard to control these cars around here in the wet, so big props to the other Tyrone. He had an incentive tonight. He wants that Group A spot. He's currently got a clean sheet of points from this race as it sits. He's had pole position, he's leading the race, and he's got the fastest lap provisionally, so he's got it all covered.
So Jim Bob's come in. So Jim Bob's the first to cover off all his stops. So he's going 13 minutes, go to woe. Carbon Boy's in.
Done as well.
Carbon Boy is in. Yes, here we go. Little bit of strategy.
So he might be
here.
going for an undercut on VF as well. He might be thinking about that too. Debrev's in too.
Debrev's in. Yep, and the little Alpha. Not that that needs tyres, but anyway.
Oh, so Jim Bob's currently sitting P11, so he's done all his pit stops. He's done for the day. Righto. Okay, so let's see how close he is to Carbon Boy and Debrev when he comes out. Because that gap might tell us a lot.
Just coming over the rise into Rent now. Love this corner. Fantastic corner. Best corner on the track by far.
Downhill right. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yep.
A bit of an apex miss through the final corner, but
Yep.
he's keeping it tidy enough. You keep all four wheels on the track, you're in a pretty good spot, I think, for this one. Absolutely gunning it down the straight, down towards T1. There's someone coming out of the pits there. He may get a run on them, but I don't know if he'll be close enough. That might be Dobrev there. Yep, I think it is. Yep. So he's got him in his sights. That's just the carrot in front of his face that he probably needed at this point. It's going to be 3 seconds by the time they come to the second corner. He's got an incentive now. He's got something right there.
Okay, so Carbon now needs to absolutely nail this outlap. This has to be inch perfect, no mistakes.
He's got massive clear air as well.
Yep.
He's got good space either side.
Our leader's in. He could probably come in, have a nice warm schnapps, maybe a donut and a croissant.
Oh yeah, step out the car, drive a change, let someone else take the checkered flag. VF's in as well. So that was only a 1 lap undercut for Carbon Boy. We'll see if it makes a difference.
So I thought Mitch might have come in there. So he's going to go long again. It'll be really interesting to see how long he goes on this second stint.
So he's still due, of course, that second pit stop. But does he know that he has to do it? And actually, importantly, what is the penalty for not doing it? Is it full disqualification?
I'm not 100% sure, but I know it won't be looked just on board with Carbon Boy. They had a bit of a moment. I know it won't be looked favourably on, so I'm not sure if it's a full DQ or a points penalty, but there will be some sort of penalty.
On board with Carbon Boy, we're coming into the first corner of the lap. VF is on his way out of the pits. He's not going to be close enough for a move here, but he may close the gap down enough. You get the run on the exit of the corner because the pit exit is a lot slower, but he's only going to be within 2.5 seconds here. So the undercut has not served him as well as he needed it to.
It's just giving Shizer a bit of a sniff as well.
Shizer is there. This could be very interesting.
I was just going to say, one mistake from any one of these drivers could have a position swap as quick as you know it. So this is when it's really tense. Yep.
Less than 2 seconds from Shizer to Carbon Boy now, and he'll be smelling blood in the water, I think. He's looking good, Shizer. He's got good pace under him. As long as he can keep it pointing the right way, I think he's in with a good shout at this race.
So it's been a really good drive from Filthy tonight. He wasn't confident tonight at all. He actually offered me to drive. He said, "Oh, do you want to drive for me, mate?"
Oh, man.
So a 6th position is a fantastic drive. So I think he'll be pretty chuffed with that. He'll take that, take his bat and ball, and
he's looked
home.
very consistent as well. Like he's set consistent laps all the way through. I think minimal mistakes and just photocopy laps, as it were, reminiscent of a certain 5-time champion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's right.
You know,
just looking at his lap times at the moment, you're 100% correct there. His best lap is a 48.9, but that of course was an out lap. But he's been pretty much in the 50s the whole race, so that's nice, consistent driving.
That's what you need in these sort of conditions, because it's so easy for so many guys to make a mistake. So all you need to do is lap consistently, and you will beat a lot of guys just by mistakes alone. So that's fantastic stuff from Filthy. Really well done. Jim Bob as well, kind of the polar opposite. He had fantastic pace in that first stint we saw. We thought he was on for a challenge for the podium, but he's dropped himself back down to 8th position following a couple of pit stops. He is, of course, done with all of his pit stops for the race. He's done all his mandatory stops. He does have Dobrev in front of him, who he can attempt to chase down. And he is closing as well.
And he's actually catching Dobrev big. Yeah, he is really closing.
The Alphas, crucially, though, they're very slow in the first sector just on straight line speed alone. So he will catch him through here, but that Alpha may pull away in the middle and last sector. But he's going to be catching him all the way down to this next corner as well.
Just a few of those drivers are taking that inside sort of, or I like to call them silent policemen there at turn 3. I just don't know if that's a good strategy for
So that's the yellow sausage, is it?
Yep. Always in the wet, I was always taught sort of avoid the curbs as much as possible, because they tend to be a lot more slippery and it really can unsettle the rear.
Yeah, multiple different lines being taken through that corner. A couple of guys opting to stay off the red and white even. So pretty clear that everyone's kind of got a different idea of how they want to take that corner. So very, very interesting from that point of view as well. You are right. I think generally the rule of thumb is if it's wet, keep it off the curbs. So very interesting to see them doing that here. Shane Mitchell.
Tell you what, with 7...
Yeah.
I was just going to probably cover off the point you're going to bring up. I'm getting a little nervous here. There's 7 minutes to go.
I'm confident that there is an issue there. Someone's got to send him a PlayStation message or something, get the message across, make another stop, Shane. You're going to throw everything away. He's 6 seconds ahead of the other Tyrone. He could be on for, 6th or 7th here if he did make that last pit stop. If he does manage to get it done.
I think he will come out in that sort of filthy battle. He might come out around the filthy mark, maybe just a little bit behind him or around him. So, filthy just lights up the timing screen there with the purple sector in the first sector.
Oh yeah. Well, I think crucially as well, we were talking about this battle between the 3rd, 4th and 5th position guys at the moment. Shizer has fallen off a cliff here, so he was less than 2 seconds behind Carbon Boy before. When we last checked in, he is now over 3 seconds back, so although he's pulled half a second on that last straight there though, so that gap fluctuating quite a lot, but I don't think Shizer's really in with a shout here at one of those podium spots. Carbon Boy, however, he's still in touch with VF more or less. He was 2.5 seconds back and he's now 1.6, so he is closing 1.5 even.
Yep, he's really lit it up this lap. I was actually riding on board with him for that whole lap and he is absolutely dropped the hammer.
This could be all on. This is 1.6 and he's pulled a second over the last couple of laps. There's plenty of time left and I'm sure VF is looking at that delta going, come on, please go back up, please go back up. He'll be feeling the pressure right now. This is huge from Carbon Boy as they come onto the main straight to start lap 19.
And this is where you start looking in the rear mirror as well. You start sort of going, oh, and you just maybe miss a braking marker by a metre or two. Miss an apex here and there. 10th here, a 10th there. It all adds up.
Oh, a little bit of an oversteer moment there for Carbon Boy, but he's caught it and he's on the way. And we know, of course, that McLaren is a rocket ship in a straight line. This is straight number 2 of 3 in a row, so that gap is going to come flying down here as we come around through the first sector. 2.5 tenths up on the purple lap at the moment, so that sets him up for a 49.25 as it sits, but he has to make the next 2 sectors count as well. He looks like he's lost a bit of time through that second corner there as well, so he's not quite going to get within range on this lap it seems, but 1.5 seconds is not a lot of time, especially in these wet conditions, so anything could change at any moment.
Oh, EB Mitch, no danger of making that corner there. Wowee.
Well, he might be on very worn out tyres at this stage as well. He's been on them for over 16 minutes, I think, so he's...
With 4 minutes... 20 remaining. He's got to start really thinking about a pit stop because you cannot pit on the last lap.
So you can't cross the line in the pits, yeah? I think it's compulsory tyre change, isn't it?
Yes, that is correct.
That gap as well. I think just...
Here he comes.
Oh, he's in! He's in!
The message has got...
He's got it done.
The message has gone
He's got it done. That's fantastic. So exactly what you want to see. Now, I will stay close to him because I do want to see where he comes out. I think it's really impressive to see, though. The gap when he went into the pits there was 1.5 seconds to the other Tyrone behind him. When the other Tyrone came out of the pits at the end of his pit stop, he was 6 seconds back, and that is just testament to how well the other Tyrone is driving. I don't think we've seen a mistake from him this race.
Yeah, the other Tyrone's laps are super impressive here. 50.6, 49.7, 50.2. He's in the low 50s and maybe a couple of 49s pretty much every lap as he goes purple again.
All right, Shane's coming out of the pit box as well. He's going to come out not far behind Debrev, I think. And Jim Bob's coming again as well.
Very close.
Is Jim Bob on for a 3rd pit stop?
Yeah, I think he is.
Debrev's right there with Shane as well. As we jump on board. He's right there. You can't quite see him there. There we go. He's in slipstream range. So this is all on for P6 here. So he's making it work. He's Looked like he was on for a one-stop strategy there with the mandatory two-stop in place, but he's pulled it all together towards the end of the race, and he's now in the position that he should be in. This is a genuine position on track, and he's fighting for P6 with Dobrev all the way to the end here, I think. And it can be very hard for the Alphas to overtake, though, as well. I think we saw that last week in the earlier races. Mitch goes deep through turn 3, so that's going to compromise him. He's losing a lot of time to Dobrev there, and this is where the Alpha's really strong, this next couple of corners. That Alpha, it doesn't tend to be able to overtake very well on these guys. It can be faster than a car on the track, but without that straight line speed, it's just not always quick enough to get by. So Dobrev is going to have to really work the car to get by Shane, and Shane, of course, is on brand new tyres as well, so it's going to be hard for him to go backwards here.
Back up in the battle for third and fourth. Looks like VF has dropped the hammer a little bit on Carbon Boy, and Carbon Boy is coming under a little bit of pressure here from one of the OGs, Shizer. So he's going to feel some real pressure here, but he's doing a fantastic job at the moment. What a performance for his first drive.
I think we've seen a mistake there from Carbon Boy somewhere along the line, because the gap's opened up to VF ahead and it's closed down to Shizer behind. Well, you can hear the wheel spin there for Shizer on the exit of turn 1. Even in third gear, he's spinning the wheels in a straight line. That's how difficult it is to drive these FR cars in the wet conditions. 1.6 seconds the gap now. Both these cars exceptional in a straight line. How fast can Shizer get out of this corner? We've seen Carbon Boy struggle through here a couple of times, opening the gap up to VF, and the gap is, or it did come down slightly, 1.4, 1.5, it's kind of fluctuating between, but there's not much time left for Shizer to come around and get him. It looks like we might be on the last lap, in fact.
Yeah, this will be close, maybe to the last lap.
A big slide there.
Unless they're the other Tyrone.
I think we're probably only going to get half the field crossing the line here for the next lap. We've also got a battle brewing here for the Moth and the Crazy One down in P8. So there's a couple of battles on track at the moment that we've got to keep our eye on here.
Keeping an eye on this battle up here between second, third and fourth, because VF's just backed out of a little bit. It's not a lot, but again, he's so good through that left-right complex.
Well, I think with 1 lap to go, 3 seconds is a decent buffer. He can afford to tone it down a little bit and just make it through safely and get himself home in second place, because I think there's just about no chance of him catching the other Tyrone. He's 14.5 seconds ahead. He's absolutely dominated this race.
It's going to be close. Is Carbon Boy and Shizer going to get one more lap at this? This is going to be interesting. They are. This is going to come down to a
It's just the 4 of them
here
as well. So Filthy will not make it around again. That's race over for him. He takes P5. That's a great drive for Filthy. We were talking about the carbon copy laps. Great drive from him. And EBMS Mitch with the last ditch pit stop. Dobrev as well comes in. P7 in the Alpha. A great job from him. And Shizer's been pulled out to 2 seconds through turn 1, so it looks like he may not be able to have a go here.
Got a little loose there out of turn 1. Actually, more than a little loose. Went deep and then got
Crazy
loose.
One beats him off to the line. The
loose.
Stranger takes P10, all on his own for most of the race, bringing the Viper home. The big V10 beast. Jim Bob, P11 in the Honda. He's had a race of ups and downs, it seems, but he gets it home nonetheless. P11 just on the fringes of the top 10. Gets it done, and Excalibur in the other Hyundai for Death Grip brings it home in P12. And it looks like we're all pretty separate up the front here. The other Tyrone with 15 seconds of a buffer to the next car down. It's going to take a miracle for anyone to unseat him for this one. VF in second with a good gap to Carbon Boy behind as well. Shizer, he's not looking like he's going to be able to do anything save for a mistake from Carbon Boy, but it's been a great race from these guys. They provided a lot of entertainment. We never were able to call it. And Shizer, of course, with that spin. But the other Tyrone, a flash of the headlights from him in the Hyundai. The FR car destroys the MR cars around Red Bull in the wet. A fantastic drive from him, and one he can absolutely be proud of. He's going to come screaming into Group A after that one. I think there's just about no chance he's not going to make it through there. VF comes home, a comfortable second, a great drive from him all the way through, even if he did have traction control on, as you said, Ghost. Carbon Boy on debut gets a podium, and Shizer in P4 after that unfortunate spin in the early stages of the race. A great drive from all of those guys up the front end of the field.
What a drive from the other Tyrone. Very Van Gisbergen-esque, if I do say so myself.
He was untouchable.
Just class above. Class above.
Yep, and soon to be a division above, I think, after that one. Great stuff from him. And we thought he might be challenged.
Driver of the day.
Driver of the day. Get your driver of the days in chat, guys. Let us know who you reckon.
I think it's going to be pretty unanimous.
Well, it could be, but there's a couple of guys there who might be able to stick their hand up for it. Of course, I think with the dominating performance of the other Tyrone, it's kind of hard not to give it to him. But you never really want to give it to first place, do you? He's got enough already. In fact, did he get the fastest lap in the end as well? Did he get the clean sweep?
Yes.
Wow. So that's
did.
the full 21 points there for the other Tyrone. So that's a fantastic drive from him. Absolutely a class above, as you say. Very well done to him. Death Grip boys will be happy.
I definitely think Carbon Boy, with a third on debut in the wet, and got the call up 3 days ago. I think that's a very much driver of the day.
He's in with a shout as well, undoubtedly. I think Filthy as well. He drove a great race, like we said. His laps were just consistent all the way, so you could argue him as well. EBMS Mitch making that last ditch pit stop after changing his strategy, it seems, mid-race. Because he was potentially going for a one-stop only, and he still managed to come out with sixth position, even with a bogus strategy, as it turned out. And the rest of the field, of course, a great drive from them as well. It's no easy task in the wet to get a car around here, especially when you don't have four wheels driving it. It's a real pain. So big congratulations to all the drivers here who finished, as well as the ones who didn't. Of course, Womble with an unfortunate disconnect. He'll be absolutely kicking himself, but these things happen, of course. We have our own failings in sim racing, but...
So just got a few here. We've got Buffer with my man Tyrone, well done. Ricky Bobby, driver of the day, Carbon Boy on debut. The Crazy One says, great drive Tyrone. Mr. Whitehip says, get around the new kid, congrats. Buffer says, driver of the day, Tyrone. The Muffin Man says, driver of the day, Tyrone. The Crazy One says, driver of the day, Carbon Boy. Toe Jam says, driver of the day, definitely going to Carbon. Harley even had time to settle down with a new car. Buffer says, driver of the day, Atom. Amazing work in the box.
What about Ghost?
Well done. I know, jeez.
No respect. The race director's got a much bigger job, surely.
That's all right. I do it for the love. As they do it for the love.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll get sidetracked. There, we'll move on very quickly. So that was a fantastic race. Of course, get that like button a big smash, guys. Also, if you haven't subscribed and you are new to Sector 1 Sim Racing, Australia's premier GT Sport Racing channel, smash that subscribe button. Hit the bell for notifications when we go. And
yeah, he'll be around. Hello, D-Flow. Are you there? Yeah, not too bad, mate. Are you ready to go for this one? Hey, just before we do get going, thank you very much, Ghost. A fantastic call, and I'm sure the viewers appreciate it. Thank you very much for being here. It was great to run side by side with you for the first time.
After the race.
Thank you very much, mate. All right, so moving on to Group A now. So the big boys of the Touring Car Trophy. So we'll have a look now at the trophy points. Race Fan currently leading the way with 59. He's 4 points clear of Mr. Bumcrack from Ragged Edge with 55 there. Crucial as well, looking down at the guys down the bottom end of the grid with 28 and 29s. Those guys are the ones at risk of dropping down to the other Tyrone. He, of course, got max points out of that last race. If they finish below, I believe it's P8, any one of them could drop down. So that's something that they definitely need to be careful of. So qualifying is now underway for the trophy. So how have the guys been looking, D-Flow, in practice? Who's been the standouts?
At the moment, the standout's actually been Pruski. He's been setting some decent times in that McLaren, so it'll be interesting to. He's definitely one to watch.
So another McLaren towards the front of the grid. That's very interesting. So perhaps quite a strong car around here. It's got obviously the good straight line speed we were talking about, the MR layout as well. So it's looking like it's very strong then in that case.
It really is. Raceman is another one to watch out for in the Ferrari 458.
Okay.
You've also got some of the little alphas that are running around. Now, they're not going to be setting the quickest pace, but I'd say they're a dark horse. Don't rule them out.
I think they're particularly strong in the final half of the lap. Those alphas, they're a bit lacking in the opening parts because we've got a lot of straights in there, but they tend to set a pretty good lap. But it's just the overtaking side of things they struggle with. So if they can qualify up the very front, then they could be in with a good shout, I think.
That's right, 100%.
So CP Flatstick, the first on the track at the moment, driving the Ferrari in the Bez Media livery. So not dissimilar to the car that took out the win in Group A for the championship last week, driven by Brocky05. So he'll be looking to replicate that sort of form. Stickers in the NSX. So he's currently second on the road. The NSX has proven itself a pretty handy car around here. It doesn't appear to be the strongest in any particular part of the track, but it's just good all round and a good safe bet for these guys at the moment. Airborne as well in P3, driving for Dadson in the Viper. So another one of those FR cars, but we have seen a couple of people make it work so far this season. I think last week we saw a great performance from one of the Dodge cars in Group B, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely an opportunity for him, and he'll want to be keeping himself in Group A, although I'd say he's pretty safe. I think he was fourth on the point standings, if I remember correctly. Magnet, or Magine, as Ghost prefers to call him, and the Alphas you were talking about there, D-Flow. So the Autobahn Alpha, he'll be looking to set a good time. Importantly, I think, he hasn't gone for a slipstream on this lap.
No, it doesn't look like it at the moment, but who knows? With that being said, he could equally use that clean air to pick his brake markers, pick in the correct turn points, and use that to his advantage.
Yeah, so he's looking pretty strong through the first part of the track, and he's just coming to the sector where the Alpha is most strong. If we step backwards a little bit, we've got Daz930, who is one of the drivers at risk of dropping down to Group B in the Deeds Porsche, so he'll need an excellent result here to get himself away from that drop zone and keep himself in Group A for next week. And of course, we haven't seen fantastic things from the Porsche around this track, but he'll just be hoping that he can keep it there for when we come to dry racing once again, because it has proven itself a pretty strong competitor in the dry races that we've seen so far. Mr. Bumcrack driving for Ragged Edge in P6 at the moment, yet to set a lap time. So he's also driving one of the Porsches. He'll be needing to make it work to keep himself where he is. Gurr, the angry one, in P7, driving another Jag. So can he make it work the same way we saw Shizer? Of course, it was a bit risky as well. And Dadson in P8 in the Viper. We get the first times across the board. A couple of guys already dipping into the 49. Stickers and Airborne already down there. A couple of guys setting 50s as well. So benchmark time at the moment, 49.7. So, and he's not really got anyone in touch with him as well. He's 2/10 clear of second place, Airborne. So the Viper, he's making it work. So we've seen a couple of good things from the Viper so far in the races we've done, and Airborne really pulling the best of it together, it seems.
Yeah, he's really stamped his authority on this qualifying session at the moment. It'd be interesting to see, as I say that, wow, Raceman at 48.
Oh my goodness. So he goes 7/10 faster in the Ferrari. I think you were saying Race Fan was looking fast. I think that's put him there, right there. That is a big statement early on.
I agree. That's very good.
I think
for TCT.
Yeah, I think even the championship A boys were struggling to get themselves into the 48s. That's very impressive. And first to break 49 tonight.
TCT boys. Yeah, that's wow. They need to watch out.
Well, the Kiwis want it. There's two Kiwis at the top end of the grid here. It makes me proud to say it. Coming to an Australian series like this. and start dominating the timing table like they are. So this is a great start for these guys in the qualifying session as it sits. We're about halfway through now, 10 minutes of qualifying for these guys, so they've got time to make a pit stop again and go out and set another. So we'll see what they decide to do. Airborne's one we want to keep an eye on. He goes into the pits on his first go around after that early lap. We got a couple of guys.
Grasses has just gone purple. My apologies. Grasses has just gone purple in the middle sector. So let's see how he goes with that lap.
Grass is in the Alpha, followed closely by Shinobi. Magna improves, Daz improves, Bumcrack improves. A couple of 50.1s there. They're right on top of each other. Dadson goes to second in the Viper. Grassies goes to second. Wow, the Alpha straight towards the top end of the field. The King Oscar also breaking into the sub 150s there with a .996 in his car. And Good Doc with a 50.5 as well down there. So that puts him... Oh, where are we looking here? So Good Doc down in P12. So if I compare, I think what we had... So we're now... Oh, quick bit of maths. I think we're at 51.5 for the slowest time on track at the moment. I think that would have got you in the top 5 for Group B before, if I'm not mistaken. But these guys will all be on a pit lap now. They'll be coming in to change their boots and go around again if they can. So ones to watch out for. It looks like Grassy's is showing some serious pace here, and he's ready to challenge for that pole position that race fans taken so very early.
Be interesting to see some of the which drivers choose to pit, take that fresh set of boots, have a bit of a rethink, or whether some of them will just prefer that track position to stay out on the warm tyres, use some of that tyre wear ironically to their advantage, get a bit more slip, a bit more turn in depending on the particular car you have.
It can be,
use that to their advantage and maybe extract some more time from the car.
Yep, clear air can be very crucial on a track like this, especially with the spray that these cars kick up. It's very hard to see. I think you were saying earlier that last week you had a bit of trouble with that, especially in the view that you were using.
Yes, that's right. So when you use the cockpit cam, it's...
sorry, I'll just cut you off there, man. The car of Honourably Airborne has just gone sideways, but thankfully he was on an outlap, so that's not going to hinder him too much. I saw a big moment there from him. That would have scared the pants off him, I think. So he got sideways there through the middle sector and just fishtailed all the way around. So that's the danger of the FR cars. Grassy's there with a 49.3 as well. Now that's crucial.
He improves, stays in second. Very crucial. Very, very
Still
crucial.
Still 3/10 down from race fans. So race fans really stamped his authority on this one, but they're closing him down a little bit. He may want to set a faster time if he can, just to cement his position as it sits.
Absolutely. Looking at the sector splits, we have race fans actually. He seems the strongest at the moment in sector 3. The Alpha, that little tiny car, actually has the legs in second sector. However, they lose most of their time in sector 1, as you alluded to before.
Yeah, so
comparing Grasses and race fans' sector times, you're looking at about half a second difference.
Oh wow!
Between the Ferrari and the Alpha.
In that early sector, is it? Or sector and a half.
That's right, and that's where they lose most of that time.
That power section is absolutely crucial to this track, but it just shows the pace through the corners that they can make all that up in only 4 or so corners. That's very impressive from them. So Dadson's I agree. It's fair to say that Dadson's a bit of a surprise package in this one. He's out-qualified Airborne for, I think, the first time this season, or since Airborne's come on board with Dadson, if memory serves. So that's a great start from Dadson there. Of course, there is time left to go. These guys will still be able to set one more lap after the one they're on finishes. We'll jump on board with Dadson now as he drives to the line. Coming through the final corner now, not too far behind Daz, but he's got plenty of space here. Gets in the third gear. Bumcrat goes to second with a 49.2. Wow. Not an improvement for Dadson. He's got another lap to go though. Grassy's with a 2.99 as well. So the gap between second and third is only 0.009 of a second. Either one of these guys could take it with a slight improvement. 10 seconds to go on the clock. It looks like most of the guys will get around again. There's a couple of guys at the back that I think are going to miss out. Pruski with a 49.6. That's a great job. Puts him up into 5th place in the McLaren. And he's not too far off Dadson as well. A small improvement might get him there. Up into 4th place. He splits the two Dadson cars, Airborne and Dadson himself, of course. there's not much between them as well. There's less than a tenth separating Dadson from Airborne, and Pruski slotted himself right in the middle there. So that's great for him. I think the McLaren will be good off the line as well, so he might even get the jump on them if he keeps it as it is. Are there any grid place penalties for these guys tonight?
No grid place penalties for Group A tonight. So as soon as qualifying finishes, we'll jump straight into the race.
Brilliant. So these positions are going to be as they sit on the grid once we get to it. So the only chance anyone has of changing anything now is in this qualifying session. They're on their final lap. A couple of guys on the first straight have already finished their final lap. They weren't able to get around again. We'll see if we can find out who's near the front.
Bumcrack's second place. He's just entering the last 2 corners. Raceman's finished his lap, so he won't be able to improve or defend his time.
I just missed someone spinning off into the grass there. I think in the start of Sector 3.
That's Stickers.
Yeah. So Bumcrack comes across the line, or drives to the line rather. Can he set a faster lap? Not quite, so he doesn't go faster. No. Magnet, Daz, all cross the line. No improvement. Or Daz goes 49.9. And no improvement for the other guys.
Rusty's fails to improve.
Shinobi crosses the line. No improvement for him either. There's 2 more guys yet to cross over.
Brewski's next on the road. I don't think he'll improve.
It looked like he was up on a best sector there, but he may not. Not quite. So nobody able to get it done in that final lap. So no changes to the grid. Racefan takes pole position from Mr. Bumcrack of Ragged Edge Racing. Grassy's in the Alpha, makes his way into the final podium slot for the grid. And Dadson completes the second row in the Viper, the first of the FR cars. So an interesting start, and probably something we didn't really expect. Did it fit what you were looking for, D-Flow?
Raceman on pole position, that was not surprising at all. With that being said, I didn't expect Pruski to be so far back in the pack at 5th. But with that being said, anything's possible.
Absolutely. So 5th in the 650S. He is, of course, behind the Viper of Dadson. So he's in with a shout here. The revs are already through the roof. We've got red lights on the board. 5 lights are illuminated, ready to go. And they go out, and we're racing. It's not a fantastic start from a couple of the guys, but Grasses has got away very cleanly. He may actually get the jump on Bumcrack here. He's got his nose in front. Racefan's going to lead through the first corner. Grasses is going to try to go around the outside of Bumcrack through turn 1. Does he go wide? He does. There's a little bit of contact, and Pruski and Dadson sneak through. So Bumcrack's dropped down to P5 there, and Racefan leads the way here in Group A for the Touring Car Championship. He's cleared off in front, with Pruski following behind. There's 3 cars there very close together. In fact, Dadson's going to have a look up the inside of Pruski here. He dives to the inside. He's got the position. Yes, that's a great move from Dadson there. Very well done. And that was super important as well, because he needed to get by him while he was still close enough. And that Viper can stretch its legs now. That's fantastic stuff from him.
I agree. That's definitely that could most likely be the game-changing move right there. He needs to stay within touching distance of Racefan. Use that massive power of that Viper to keep up with him on the straights. Just needs to keep in touch within the corners, and the rest is his.
The 2 alphas we were talking about earlier, they needed that track position as well off the line. Shinobi's found himself in P7 behind the NSX of Stickers and the Viper of Airborne. So we know how fast Airborne is as well in that Viper. So the question is, can he manage to make it work in the wet? He's still behind his team owner, of course, Dadson, who's having a fantastic race so far with that overtake into the second corner. So he went up. Well, where did he start? P3 or P4? So he's found his way right to where he needs to be after a bit of a grubby start on the traction side of things. And now in P2, of course, Racefan seems to be running away with it a little bit, as we were expecting to see. But Dadson in a fantastic position here. In fact, he's got no slip either side of him. Pruski is out of range temporarily as we start lap 2.
Seems to be, out of everyone, Bumcrack actually lost a fair amount of spots at the start. He got bumped back to 8th after all that little hip and shouldering at the start.
He did. I think it might have been partially a redress as well. We may have a look at it if we can get a replay up. But I think he pushed one of the alphas wide, and probably got off the power as soon as that happened. In fact, as we look at it, he goes for a move on Shinobi. He's up the inside here. Well, he's not quite got his nose in there. Shinobi slams the door on him, who's in fact going to get an undercut on Stickers here as they come out on corner exit.
Shinobi got very tail happy out of that corner there.
So he's
a bit worried that he was...
Yeah, Shinobi's got a great spot here. He's on the inside of Stickers as they come down to the corner. The Honda has the power, but it's not quite going to get by. Into the braking zone they go, and Shinobi gets ahead. That Alpha is fantastic on the brakes, isn't it? Oh, a bit of contact there.
Sliding on the brakes.
Wow. But everyone makes it through fairly cleanly, and Shinobi takes himself from P7 to P6. Someone's in the wall.
Flat sticks in the wall.
Oh, no. That's not good for Flat Sticks race at all.
Got some damage on the front and the front right corner of that car as well. So definitely not what you want this early on.
I'm having a look at a replay here. He saw everything unfold between Stickers and Shinobi in front. Gets on the power here and just loses it. Doesn't quite get off it early enough, and into the wall he goes. He did try to counter it, but he couldn't quite get it done. An unfortunate error for Flat Stick there, but he of course made the jump up to Group A tonight from Group B. He was only just leading the points for Group B there, and looks like the pressure might be getting to him a little bit. Now, this is very interesting. The two Datsun cars are both in the top 5 and still very close together. This is a fantastic drive from these two guys, and it's going to be awesome for their team points if they stay in the sort of positions they're in right now, as Datsun gets very sideways through T1 there. That looked fantastic from him.
They're just going to be a bit careful, though. All this attack and defense between Pruski, Dadson, Grasses, and Airborne, they need to make sure that they keep within touching distance of race fan, though. He's got a 2.5 second gap. Realistically, if they're not careful, he can just walk away.
Actually, a good point might be, I think Dadson was previously in second place, as I think we've seen Airborne go for a move there on Grasses as well. So Pruski's got back ahead of Dadson at some point. We'll jump back towards this battle here between Airborne and Grasses. It looks like that V10 Viper is absolutely monstering the Alpha down the straight. We'll have a look back and see if we can see what happened at the hairpin. Yep, Airborne went for a dive up the inside. More than entitled to that. He makes the apex nice and cleanly, fully ahead of Grasses through the corner, and then puts the power down. No sweat whatsoever. So a great move there. Both the Dadson cars making fantastic moves into T2, 2 laps or 3 laps apart. So that's great stuff.
I agree. Just sitting on board with Datsun at the moment. He's just gone purple in Sector 2.
So what is the fastest lap? Race Fan's got the fastest lap as well with a 49.3. That's still a pretty good lap. I think it was only a 48.9 that took pole, so it's not far off at the moment. So to be purple on that's a good achievement.
Correct. He's just over a 10th purple in Sector 2, and considering that's more of the tight and twisty section, that Viper is really moving it. It's really, really moving today.
So he's looking good. He has dropped a bit of time to Pruski there, and Airborne is right on his tail now. So the two Dadson cars are line astern as it sits. So first rule of racing, of course, don't hit your teammate. And was that an error there from Race Fan? Did he go wide at the exit of T1?
Not quite sure. I just missed that. I'm just looking a bit further back towards 8th, 9th, and 10th. Shinobi's just gotten up on the inside of Daz. Maginet's make the most of the hustle and bustle between them two and just snuck in between.
So the two Alphas battling it out now. And Daz, of course, right there. Daz, of course, the one at the very bottom of the leaderboard for Group A at the moment. So he is at risk of dropping down into Group B. I think he needs a top 8 finish to secure his spot here in Group A for next week. So he'll be looking at Shinobi and going, I need that spot. I need that spot. So this is crucial for him.
Absolutely.
Pit strategy might get involved for him as well. We're lap 4 now. We saw the first of the guys in Group B coming in at the end of lap 6 or 7. So we're nearing the stage of the first pit stops as Maginate there goes a little bit wide of the apex, sliding through that corner.
So yeah, much like the race in Group B, and even like last week, there will be a mandatory 2 stops in this race. Now, if you're in the... I guess the question will be now, if you're mid-pack, if you know that you've been obstructed by all the spray and you know that you're losing time, do you take that gamble, take the fresh air, hit now, and potentially suffer later with tyres, or do you just try and hang on?
Well, I think it's definitely worth that that sort of gamble for clear air, because we were talking about it before, the tyre wear is not the biggest of deals around this track in the wet, as it sits, so you can afford to do a couple of extra laps on worn tyres. We actually saw, of course, EBMS Mitch last race. Oh, there's an invoice there back there for, I think it was Daz. He's got a... Oh, no, Magnet, sorry. He's got to burn it on this straight. He's got to burn it on this straight as well. And it looks like he's not going to do it.
My goodness.
So he's carried that penalty into turn 1. So that might come with an invoice in its own as well.
That's correct. Bit of an awkward position for him, though, as couldn't necessarily move over to his right and burn it. And as I say that, he's starting to burn his penalty now.
Yeah.
But yes, I do agree. That's a very awkward situation.
I can hear the stewards' pens clicking in the background just quietly, but I will leave that to them. They'll make the decision that they think is best in regards to that particular incident. But that has, either way, he has served it there in a compromising position on the second straight and dropped him down to P12. So he is now sandwiched between the good doctor and the angry one, Gurr, in P13. And Flatstick as well, of course, after that spin earlier on in that Ferrari. So he's found himself 4.5 seconds back from Gurr in P13. It'll be interesting to see how far he can catch himself back up to the pack and if he can pull any positions out of this one.
I agree. Well, with that being said, that Ferrari's got plenty of pace. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't end up making places or at the minimum end up being on the back of Gurr.
Yeah, I think you're right about that one. I think that Ferrari is absolutely one of the strongest cars around this track as it sits. We've got one leading the way as an example right now. The Dadson cars still line astern more or less, but there is a 1.2 second gap between them. Dadson himself is getting excessively sideways through a lot of these corners. It's fantastic to watch, and he's making it work, obviously, because he's still more than in touch with Pruski in front of him. And I think the other thing to notice as well is that the race fans only, and I say only, 3.2 seconds ahead of the guys behind him.
That's right, and it puts him in a very good position from a strategy point of view. Doesn't have to worry about the undercut with 3.5 seconds gap. Doesn't have to be pressured too much if Pruski decides to undercut. This race, he's literally in control in this race. Right,
he is fully in control at the moment, and I think we'll probably only see him extend that lead as it sits. But it depends what Pruski and Dadson can do, and they're probably going to fight amongst each other as the race goes on. In fact, Airborne has actually caught up to his team owner here and is within slipstream range as they come down the back straight, and Pruski's starting to wander off into the distance a little bit. That McLaren looking pretty strong around here.
Yes, indeed. Comparing, even looking at tyre wear, for example, Pruski compared to the two Vipers behind him, Pruski's actually got slightly less wear on his... He's looked after his tyres a bit more with that McLaren compared to the Viper. But even more interestingly, Racefan has got even less wear than any of the 5 cars behind him.
We are coming up to the pit window as well. These guys will be thinking about boxing for the first time this race very shortly. End of lap 6, end of lap 7. We just had a moment there where the King Oscar actually had a big sniff up the inside of Daz 930 there, and Daz, of course, he needs that P9 as best he can keep it to hold on to the spot in Group A for next week. And the King Oscar's really working that dodge to try get himself sufficiently within the top 10 here, because he's obviously right on the edge of it right now, P10. As Daz 930 goes into the pits, they're all heading in. The King Oscar follows him in. Interesting from the King Oscar not to box opposite Daz, because he was right on the back of him there. And that note you had on Clean Air a little bit before, I think that would have been a prime opportunity to heed your advice there and actually go for that Clean Air.
Yeah, they've got to listen to Uncle Dave.
Absolutely, man. So race fan now, nearly 4 seconds to the good. Pruski also safe from Airborne behind as the Dadson cars go side by side. Through turn 3, Airborne makes the move, he gets it done. And he is now ahead. So the question is now, does Dadson fight back, or does he let his teammate go and, you know, provide the support that you can, push him along in the straight as much as kind of bump drafting is allowed in this series? Because you've got to be careful if you're this close to each other.
Correct. I think the logical thing will be to just let Airborne go. No point fighting your teammate. Let them get on with it. And as we say, that there's already half a second gap just in 2 corners.
Either way, no matter what happens here, I think this is a fantastic drive for both Dadson drivers so far. 3rd and 4th for 2 teammates on the road is a great spot to be in. You can't really argue with that. We'll have a look now at Airborne's move on Dadson as they come up towards the second corner of the track, the big hairpin. So it looked like he was actually alongside at the exit of T1 initially and just went up the inside there. So not really a huge fight there put up by Dadson himself. Which is probably what you want when your teammates change of position has to be done with the minimal loss of time possible, realistically.
That's correct. Now, next to the front runners coming in is Stickers. He's coming in at the end of lap 7. But interestingly, the top 5 have not yet stopped.
Good docs in
so
as
they'll
well.
be looking to extend, and the good doc.
Yeah, so a couple of guys looking to go for pretty long runs here. Grassy's, Dadson and Airborne are still very close together, but it looks like they're all kind of just doing their own thing at the moment, plugging away at the laps and that sort of thing. Interesting that none of these guys between 2nd and 5th have gone for an undercut on Race Fan ahead. And the other thing of note as well, Flatstick's gone for clear air over undercut as well, like you were talking about. Obviously, with that spin early on, he's looking to make up as much time as he can. This might be the best way to do it.
Yep, I agree with that 100%. He can probably look at doing a reverse strategy of running a bit longer, way longer potentially than any of the front runners, and make sure that he's got good tyres in the next 2 stints. Really capitalise on the others struggling and go on the opposite way around on the strategy.
That's true, yeah. Right off this stint and sacrifice a couple of laps for extra pace at the end of the race. You could be onto something there, and that might be what he's going for. So the gap between 3rd, 4th and 5th is pretty equal all the way along. About a second between each car, but Grassy's might be looking to have an effort at Dadson here. How are the tyres looking for these guys up the front?
Well, they've started to even out between the top 5. Grassy's understandably has the best tyre life between the top 5. But with that being said, I was just about to comment that Race Fan had set a personal best in Sector 2, but he's come in for into the pits, so there we go.
So end of lap 8, all of these guys are coming in by the look of these things, except for Grassy's. Grassy's catches a bit of oversteer there, so he's going around again for 9 laps. So that's quite interesting. Probably valuing clear air. He was looking very fast there. He pulled out nearly a second on Dadson on that particular lap, so I think he's made the right decision here, if I'm completely honest. Flat stick as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
He does come into the pits. So that's everyone in except for Grassy's now. So Stickers will be the first across the line of the guys who have stopped.
Be interested to see where this puts Race Fan. He'll be clear of traffic, which is what you want. So there's no issues about that.
I would say so. There were pretty decent gaps between these guys before they came into the pits. So Stickers and Bumcrack will come through first of all. You can see the guys there exiting the pits up in the top right. They're still going to be well and truly clear. I think Airborne and Dadson are at the back of the queue there, but they are well and truly clear of Stickers here, so they're pretty safe where they are. So no great changes to the track positions after the first series of pit stops. I think that's... Ooh, who's in the pits now? Just Flatstick. So Flatstick's made his stop. He's not far away from the guys ahead of him, Gur and Good Doc and Manjane as well. I think he's close by as well. So he's done a little bit of catching up here, Flatstick. He's put a couple of laps together. So he may be in with a shout of challenging for the top 10 as this race goes on. There's still 24 minutes left, so plenty of time for things to change.
Yeah, he's slowly chipped away since Gur pitted in front of him. He's used that clean air to really just sort of settle down, focus, hit your markers. He's been slowly chipping away. He will definitely catch up by the end of this stint.
Yeah, I'd say he's got a good chance at taking a couple of positions from where he sits. Stickers now, he's got 1.5 Grassy's is in, end of lap 9, so he's gone for that long stint, gone for a bit of an overcut. I think he had good pace there though, so I don't think he'll lose out too bad, but it'd be interesting to see how close he is to Dadson on his way out. And these guys here...
And looking at their laps... My apologies, you go.
Just looking at Race Fan, so he's just coming past the pit entry now, so he retakes the lead and heads through to start lap number 10 here. Pruski as well, still there in the McLaren. He's looking really good. He's had a quiet race so far, but he's looking very good. He still has the Dadson cars in tow.
Grassy's is just exiting the pits now. It's going to be very close between these
wow,
markers.
he's right next to Dadson there, but they do have the run on exit. I think, however, Dadson may have overstepped track limits there. We'll keep an eye on him to see if that comes with an invoice.
It appears that it hasn't. Very, very
So
lucky.
he's safe out of there. So I think the wet weather conditions tend to make the track limits a little bit soft around here, but I think that's probably for the best with this. There's a lot of excess of track limits on the edges, on the outside of corners, just due to overshooting your brake markers. So they're doing pretty good so far, but Grassy's is still right there. So that pit stop hasn't hurt him too much, and he's going to have fresher tyres for longer than these guys as well. He might even be able to go 2 laps further at the end of this stint, depending on how he plays his cards. Dadson a little bit wide there as they come through the third corner. That's going to allow Grassy's to catch right up to him. And
that's all that Grassy's needs to see. In reality, he just needs to see the car.
oh,
start
big
to
moment
move,
there from
start to
Airborne.
get a
Sorry,
bit
I'll cut you off there, man. There's a big wide moment. He bowls a big wide into that particular corner. He nearly hit the grass on the outside. I think he'll have a code brown and clean up on aisle 3 for that one. But he's managed to keep it on track just about and hold on to his position. But if he was getting close to Pruski there, he's no longer within that same range. He's dropped a lot of time.
Tell you what, though, he didn't lose too much time. At least on the sector split that popped up on the screen, he only lost 3/10. Interestingly.
Okay. So it looks like maybe when he came back, he may have just managed to get back towards the apex and allowing you to get up, being on the outside as he was. It may allow him to get on the power a little bit earlier, which may make up for some of that time he lost. So it looks like he's made the best of a bad situation there.
I agree. Raceman's just set the fastest lap of the race, so 1:49.233.
It looks like we're going to see another clean sweep here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Race Fan so far, pole position, fastest lap, and potentially race win incoming as well. So it's been a great race from him so far. But the battle for second, third, fourth, and fifth is still looking as spicy as ever as Grassy's closes right up to the back of Dadson there, and then out of the corner, that Viper's just going to pull away here. The gap comes down, 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 and it's going to start going up again very shortly, I imagine. Yep. There you go. Up to 7/10 again. That Alpha's just got nothing. Even with the advantage of the slipstream, there's not much that Grassy's can do here. He's just got to work it through that middle sector. But a mistake there from Dadson's allowed him to close back up once again. He's getting very close.
Looking a bit further back in the pack. Flatsticks appears to have a bit of an issue. He's just putting along on the side of the road, just exiting turn 3. So I'm assuming he might have some mechanical issues.
Oh, wow, he's out.
Oh, there we go. Flatstick's gone.
Okay, well, good spotting. Unfortunate, but these things happen. So another disconnect, the second disconnect of the night. We had Womble in race 1 and now Flatstick in race 2. I don't believe that was a rage quit. I think that was a network disconnect there, but we'll wait and see. And I think that's just beyond halfway through the race as well. So I believe that does
Correct.
make a change to the steward's application of points following that one. So we'll look back up the front here. We've still got a massive fight going on here for third, fourth, and fifth. Pruski's managed to pull away from Airborne a decent amount, so he's looking pretty safe at the moment. But that Alpha of Grassy's is looking like a big challenge at the moment. It's got a better exit out of turn 1. It's going to follow them down the straight here. We'll see how it does out of turn number 3. Or turn number 2, rather. He just drops out of slipstream on the way down. Dadson, of course, does have the tow from Airborne as well.
He does seem to... Sorry, my apologies. Grassy's does seem to be picking up a slight bit of a tow from Dadson there, doing a 27 flat in Sector 1, which is very, very quick for the Alpha.
Oh, wow.
So he just needs to keep shipping it away, keep applying that pressure.
Yeah, the pressure could be everything as well, because if you can unsettle the guys in front of you, one little mistake in the wet can make a world of difference, as we see there from Dadson. He nearly makes a haulings of his braking there with that slipstream. It makes it a little bit different. Your braking marker has to change to account for that slipstream, so he has to make it work through that particular set of corners. Difficult one, this one as well. Always a little bit hard to judge on the way in. You've got to get your braking just right to get in there. And then to the outside, don't go too far wide though, otherwise you will get yourself a penalty. Sideways there from Dadson as they head through the corner. And this is where the Alpha is strongest, through this sector. It gets the power down, where the FRs, they have to half throttle it just to keep the traction there. 8.5 tenths now between these cars through the final 2 corners. The Alpha's very strong through these two. Can carry a lot of speed here as long as you get your turn in right. Brings it through and into the final corner. That slipstream is working wonders for Dadson at the moment. The two Dadson cars are working together extraordinarily well. This is a great team effort from them for this race so far.
Nice lap from Dadson there. That was just his personal best, setting a 49.5. However, looking up front towards race fan, set the fastest lap of the race on lap 11 at 1:48.7.
Oh, he's smashing it out. Was that faster than his qualifying lap?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, he's absolutely smashing it out of the park. Then, of course, not long after his first pit stops, tyres are freshest. So, with the absence of fuel, you can go for fastest laps, lap in and lap out. So, there's plenty of opportunity to steal that fastest lap away. Although, I don't know if the pace is quite there for the rest of the field to make that happen. Race fan, just in a class of his own at the moment, 9 seconds clear of the rest of the field. This is the first time we've jumped back on board with him this entire race, in fact, because he's just so far ahead that there's almost nothing going on. It's fantastic. It's exactly what you want as a racing driver. A Sunday drive in the wet, chuck it sideways every now and then just for funsies. You know, smash out lap times at your favourite track, whatever you want to do. He'll be loving this. He'll be having an absolute blast right now.
Oh, it's just an impressive performance. From what I've seen so far, he hasn't put a foot wrong at all so far this weekend. He's delivered his pole lap. He's got on a clean start. He's run away with this race, and he keeps chipping away. The gap keeps extending between himself and Prusky behind in second place.
He's doing a great job there. We jump back down the field a little way to Daz 930, our drop zone competitor who's working to keep himself in Group A this week. He's right on the back of King Oscar, but there's a huge gap to Shinobi up ahead, so it looks like 9th might just about be the best that Daz can do this race, but he is giving the King Oscar a fantastic run for his money here and applying as much pressure as he possibly can. We did see a bit of a wide moment. In fact, Daz comes in, he goes for an undercut. Grassy's as well. Shinobi into the pits. So these guys all making their second stop at the end of lap 14, or end of lap 13 for them rather, where lap 14 for the guys up the front. As we head round again, 15 minutes to go for these guys, so the last stops will be coming through thick and fast very shortly. Still not much separating the top 4 or 5 guys, although Stickers has dropped off the back of them there, so we may have missed an incident of some kind there from him, but he has lost a lot of time to Dadson there. In fact, oh no, sorry, I'm thinking of Grassy's, and he's pitted, hasn't he?
That's right, Grassy's did make his second stop.
Now that's very interesting, because he went 2 laps longer than these guys at the end of his first stint, didn't he?
That's correct, yes. So it looks like he's...
What does that mathematically make his middle stint there? Was that 5 laps? 4 laps?
I'll be honest, I've forgotten what lap he pitted on, but yes, probably 5-6 laps at most.
Wow, so he's done a very, very short middle stint. It looks like he might be looking to extend his final stint, go for an undercut here. So it'll bear watching to see where he comes out in relation to the likes of Dadson in front of him. In fact, Dadson's having a shocker of a lap this time around. I've seen him wide at 2 or 3 apexes now, so he's really got to get it together here if he wants to keep that P4. It's looking risky at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at his sector splits, he was nearly a second down compared to Race Fan, and another 7 tenths down in sector 2. So he's really struggling, and he's pitting.
He's pitting now, so he writes off that stint, and probably the best thing to do for him as well. Prusky's in as well. Airborne goes around again, crucially. So the two teammates differing their strategy, changing it up a little bit. Of course, I don't think the undercut is much of a threat here for Airborne, because Dadson lost himself a lot of time on that lap, pulled it down to nearly 2 seconds there. So the man to watch, the man on the move, is Grassy's, who's currently in P10, so we'll go on board with him now as he comes through the final sector. And Gura in front of him as well, yet to make his final pit stop. So Grassy's will come through across the line and start lap number 15. And the interesting thing to watch is I think he might come out ahead of Dadson, because Dadson's had a terrible in-lap, and Grassy's has of course got the advantage of the undercut as well. There he is. There he is. You can see Dadson on the pit exit there as well. He's right side by side with him now. The Viper doesn't quite have the exit because it's slower on pit exit. And there he goes. Grassy's goes sweeping around the outside of Dadson on lap 15 here in the Touring Car Trophy Round 3 Group A. And he leads the way between the two of them down to turn 2.
Critically for Pruski, he managed to clear Gurr with that pit stop cycle, so he doesn't have to worry about being balked unnecessarily by Gurr. Obviously, he doesn't intend to be the way, but with the way the pit stop cycles are shuffling through, Pruski's cleared him. Grassies has to worry about him. He's a second down the road. And Dadson is obviously behind Grassies. So that's very, very
Well, that's an excellent point, of course. He's not exactly a back marker here, Gurr, but he is on a different pit stop strategy. So being on the worn-out tyres, as much as they may be very minimal difference, they are a difference on this track with worn tyres. So he will be slower than the guys around him on fresh tyres. So you don't want to be behind him at this point. So Grassies is going to have to either get by or hope that Gurr goes in for a pit stop this lap.
Airborne and Stickers are in now on this lap. So it'd be interesting to see where they pop out.
Yep, I think Pruski is going to clear them once again, but Grassies might actually be in with a shot of catching them as well. If he's got he doesn't quite have a slipstream to Gurr in front of him. In fact, he lost some time there out of the S's there. He got a little bit sideways, I think, but looks like Gurr's going in. He goes slow through the second to last corner. Yep, in he goes. Grassies takes the position with a rear view mirror full of Dadson. So he's going to head around. So he's made all his pit stops. These guys are now track position for the road. Where Airborne comes out will dictate what these guys are fighting for towards the end. You can't see him. I can't see him. There he is. He's on the right-hand side on the pit exit here as Grassies comes around. Turn 1. They're going to go through. He's going to be ahead. I think it might just about be. Yes, Grassies takes P3 and onto the podium he goes. Airborne slots in ahead of his team owner there behind Grassies on the run into turn 2. Is he going to go for a move early on? Is he going to go for a lunge? I think he might.
Have a look.
It looks like all three of them might be going for it. He's gone up the inside. That's a great move from Airborne. And Dadson's going to go through as well. Wow. So Grassie's been done 2 for 1 there. I don't know if that was coordinated from the two Dadson guys, but that was about as good as it gets for double overtakes. When it comes to wet weather driving, that's exactly what you want. 2 cars through in one go, 100%. And Dadson gets the inside for this corner as well. I think it's just about said and done. Poor Grassies. He did so well there to get ahead of those guys, but the power was just too much. There was not much he can do down that second straight. Race fans in for his final pit stop. I suppose he'll be doing the same as Tyrone in the previous race, getting out having a cup of tea while he waits.
He might as well. Looking at his lap times, very, very consistent. A 49.1, 49.1, 49.0, 49.3.
Oh, Magnet's gone as well.
He's left the room.
Oh, wow. Where was Magnet when that happened?
I'm afraid I did miss where he was. He was still yet to complete his second stop, though.
Can't actually see where he is. I may have missed that as well. I'm just having a look at the replay, but nothing there. So race fans still in the pits. Pruski's just gone past pit entry, and race fan will probably be on his way out the gate now. Yep, indeed he is. He's back on track already. So absolutely no chance for these guys. 10 seconds clear and climbing.
This battle is heating up, though, between Grassies.
He's got a rear view mirror full of stickers. Yeah, you're absolutely right there. A lot of pressure coming in here. Grassies might not just lose his top 3 position. He might lose 5th as well.
Yeah, that Alpha's certainly been mugged at the moment, but it seems to be that, ironically, although the tyres do get looked after a bit more with the Alpha, they do take a bit longer to switch on. Oh, yeah. And it seems like he's actually struggling with that at the moment.
I believe that. That does make sense. Tyre temperatures can be a big issue, especially in the wet. So he's it's probably going to start coming together for him very shortly, but he's got a lot of pressure here from Stickers behind. We jump on board now with Stickers on the run into turn 3. Can he get close enough to the Alpha? He's not going to be able to have a go here. He jumps out into some clean air, hits the brakes, and through the corner he goes, just cruising through. Little bit of too much speed. He's going to chuck his wheel in the gravel. He's sideways. He's lost all that time he had. Oh no, terrible mistake there from Stickers. He'll be absolutely kicking himself. He was in a fantastic position there, but now he's lost it all. Nearly 2 seconds is the gap now. Oh man, you hate to see it. That's got to be so frustrating, and that's the difference as well. That may have been his first time coming down to that corner with slipstream like he had it there, and he may have just missed his brake marker by the slightest amount because it was such a small mistake. He carried just a little bit too much speed through the apex and exited onto the gravel there. He was very, very fortunate, and I'd say it was a good effort from him as well to keep it on the track and actually not chuck a wheel into the gravel there, because that could have been even more heartbreaking than it is as it sits. But 2.5 seconds now. He's really lost ground to Grassies, who is all over the back of Dadson here. This is looking to be a spicy battle as well.
Yeah, it seems to be that the Alpha's starting to claw back against these Vipers. Looking at the tyre wear, the Vipers is just starting to wear those fronts a fraction more, which is going to mean a bit more understeer on turn-in. That's going to then delay their corner exit speeds, and as we can see, that Viper is... My apologies, that Alpha is actually gaining on that Viper down the
He's doing a good job, and that's probably one of the first times we've seen the Alpha actually gaining at the end of the straight. He just about makes a haul into his braking, so he can't go through here. He's going to have to let him have the position. But he's doing well here, Grassies. He's really piling the pressure on. I think, honestly, that was actually an opportunity to go for a move there. But he's erring on the side of caution a little bit, holding it back, probably waiting to the last minute because he knows just how threatening that Viper can be if it gets behind him on the straight. Oh, look how much he closes up on brakes. Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing how good that thing is on the brakes, the Alpha. It's very, very impressive. And as you were saying before, you've really got to pick your overtaking spot. You can't just... Sure, you could have probably had a look into turn 3, but reality is that Viper, once it stretches its legs, it will be down the inside with no trouble before you're even halfway down to turn 4.
Yeah, it may have just got him back straight away. Eh?
Correct. So you really need to pick your poison, I suppose. Choose where you're doing it.
So jumping back down the field a little bit while we settle down. The King Oscar in P9, he's pulled a gap to Daz 930T behind him in P10, 4.5 seconds, so they're both looking pretty set in their positions at the moment. Good Doc down in P11 in the McLaren as well. What have you got, man?
I was just to add a note towards Dad's 930T. It appears he had a really rough lap 17. It was a 156.5.
Oh, wow.
So I'd assume he would have ran wide or potentially even served the penalty.
Speaking of, he's done it again, yeah.
Wide
wow.
Towards the last corner.
Yep. Oh, he's struggling a little bit. He's really struggling for grip now. He's just done it at the exit of the final corner as well. So, and he's got an invoice for it as well. So he serves a penalty. If he keeps up like this, Good Doc might actually have a shot at the top 10 here. He's currently 10 seconds down, but with a penalty served there, he's going to pull that back a couple of seconds here along the straight on its own. Gurr as well in P12. He's not quite out of touch from the Good Doctor yet as well. So these guys are both in a position to snag a spot in the top 10 if they play their cards right. Daz now on the back straight. Can he keep it together? We'll jump back up the front to the battle on track. We've got Grassy still all over the back of Dadson here. There's not a lot that Dadson can do. And the Alpha's very strong through this sector as well. He's really going to have to pick his moment. There's only 4.5 minutes left on the track, on the timer. Almost looks for, I think that's just wide of the apex there for Dadson, and Grassy's wasn't actually going for a move there, but he's definitely biding his time. He's waiting to pick his moment, but he can't wait too much because you never know what could happen. He might make a mistake in the dirty air and find himself too far back for anything.
That's right. He's really going to start applying that blowtorch on the back of Dadson and really pressure him into either making a mistake or just, as we had alluded to before, choosing that spot to overtake and get past.
Well, where do you think the best spot is to overtake? Because you, of course, drove the Alpha last week. What do you think's the best opportunity for the Alpha to get by that's also safe from a re-overtake immediately after?
Turn 4 would be your best bet, as even if you overtake on the outside of turn 4, if you can run side by side with the next car or the car that you were battling with, that you will then be on the inside to turn 5.
Okay.
And subsequently turn number 6. So that if I was Grassies, that would be where I would choose the overtake.
So he needs a good exit out of this particular corner we're coming up to here, doesn't he? If he wants to have a go at it.
Correct. So he really needs to, if he's going to overtake here, he needs to do it. If not, he just needs to make sure he gets out of this corner as best as possible.
So the MR car is pretty good for that. Yeah, he chucks a wheel on the inside there, gets a bit sideways, so it's not going to happen this time around. So the Alpha can get its power down pretty quick, can't it?
It can, yeah. It's, well, I guess being as, well, I wouldn't say with a lack of power, but being there is less power in the wet, it's less of an issue to put its power down. Oh, airboard's gone off.
Oh, wow, we've missed that. Good spotting, mate. Wow. How's that happen then? Airborne finds himself down now in P6. That promotes Dadson to the podium position, which will just give Grassies that little bit of extra drive to get himself there as well. We'll have a look now on board with Airborne. As we come down to turn number 3, or turn number 4 as it's officially known. Just too late on the brakes. He picked his... Oh no, I think he's used his generic in the dry braking marker there, and just had a moment of lack of concentration. Stickers sneaks by him as well. Very unfortunate for Airborne. He was having such a good race, and so close to the end as well. Only 2.5 minutes to go. That's a vital error. Absolutely crucial to this race.
Correct, and that's a chunk load of time. Reality is, I can't see him getting back past Stickers or even up to Grassy.
Yeah.
So he'll be kicking himself for that, no doubt about it, but it is so easy to do. You brake 5 metres later than you need to. The penalty price is a lot higher in the wet, and especially at a track like this too.
Absolutely, and it's like you can brake a couple of metres late in the dry and you'll still stay on track. In the wet, you're 4 tyres deep in the gravel there. And look at this though. Grassies is all over the back of Dadson. Is he going to go for it here? No, he backs off it. He's going for a late apex here. He's going to try to get that power down. Nice. Here we go. In second gear, he puts it down. He's not quite in the slipstream. He's not going to be close enough, I don't think. Half a second back now. He's not going to be able to go for a move into turn 3. Or turn 4 as it's officially known, but he'll be keeping his eye on it. He's going to have to go for it on the next lap. He has to try something, anything, to get by Dadson here, because that podium is his for the taking right now.
Agreed, or even at the minimum, send it into turn 3. See what happens, and worst comes to worst, if Dadson does get the run on him into turn 4, set him up for it.
Yeah,
So he's really got to...
Grassies has been in position to go for a move into turn 3 multiple laps in a row now, so I think he really has to just commit to it, because it seems to be his best chance to actually, you know, put Dadson off his line, and that's really what you need to do in this instance. I think in an ideal world, of course, you were saying turn 4 would be the best place to do it, but he just can't seem to get that power down well enough to get alongside for it. So turn 3 looks like his best bet right now, and they are coming up on their final lap. So Race Fan leads the way through T1 there. 17.5 seconds to the good. He's dominated. There's no one who can touch him. Pruski's a clean and clear second place at the moment as he crosses the line. Dadson with a lot of pressure from Grassies behind in the Alpha. And then we've got Stickers as well in P5. And Airborne's right on the back of him as well. He's caught right up to him. And with 9 seconds to go...
Ooh, nearly hit him. Nearly drilled Stickers into turn 1.
Wow.
That was incredibly close.
So we've had... Oh, the King Oscar's going to get to go around again. So Daz, 9:30, will be the first to cross the line and finish the race in P10. It looks like no moves being made into turn 3. It looks like Grassies is not going to be close enough this time around. Dadson's deep, though. Dadson's very deep. Grassies is going to stick his nose up the inside. He's right there.
This is what he needed.
Oh, my God. This is perfect for him. This is exactly what he would have wanted. Can Dadson get himself ahead and get himself in front and defend that position? He can. He gets himself ahead. He goes to the inside. Nothing that Grassies can do.
On the outside, crisscross potentially.
He's pulling it back as best he can. Airborne as well in P6 there, looking for any way past Stickers. The two Dadson cars are fighting for their lives right now. What can they do? Dadson's got all the defending in the world to do here. Grassies is running out of time here. He's got very minimal time left to make something happen. But we'll jump up ahead for the final corner. Race Fan comes down the final straight to take a dominant win. A fantastic drive from him here. He was absolutely untouchable. Reminiscent of the other Tyrone in race 1. Pruski coming through the final sector to take P2. It looks like no position changes back here so far. Can Airborne make something happen into the final corner? We've seen things happen here before. He's gone sideways into the final corner. He's gone wide on exit as well. And he's round as well. Is he going to lose out to anyone else as well? Is Bumcrack going to get him here? Bumcrack's coming up on him very quickly. This is going to be extremely close. Airborne just about gets it at the line. So Airborne just manages to retain P6. Dadson with a fantastic podium there. Shanubian 8th. The King Oscar in 9th. And of course we had Daz in 10th. The Good Doc in 11th. And Gur in P12 after an unfortunate disconnect for Flatstick and Manjane as well. But victory for Race Fan 988 in the Bez Media Ferrari. That's 2 of those Ferraris that we've seen with victory in this particular race. A fantastic job from them. It was great stuff from the guys. So the one thing on a couple of people's minds will be what changes? Who goes down from Group A and who goes up from Group B? So, of course, we had 21 points scored by the one and only, the other Tyrone, or the other Tyrone, not the one and only, the other, as it were. And I'm just trying to get up on screen here. What have I got? The points for... Get the actual points that are allocated here. I might be able to tell you who goes up and who goes down. So Daz scores 16, so I don't think that's enough. So he was 1 point ahead, and of course we saw the other Tyrone with 21 points, so I think that's done and dusted. Daz will move down to Group B, and if we look at the standings for Group A there, the King Oscar as well, who was P9, he scored for himself 17 points. So he may also, or he may not. That's a question for another day. Well,
He's a breaking the first rule of live streaming, boys. Trying to do maths live.
Oh, trying to do too much. But either way, a great drive from everyone involved. Of course, the wet we know can be excessively difficult. The Alphas actually stepping up in this one, managing to get themselves into the top 5 in the shape of stickers, Grassies rather, and stickers in P5 in the NSX managed to take down Honourably Airborne in the late stages after an unfortunate spin. Get your driver of the days in the chat, everyone. Let us know who you think. What have we got so far, guys?
It looked like Prusky's taking this one away. So we've got Jim Bob, Filthy, the Good Doc, some bloke named Ghost, Muffin Man, all voting for White Hips there. I just want to give a little shout out as well. We are on 399 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. So we're ever so close to that big 400. It'd be fantastic if we can get that by the end of, well, before the start of the next round. So
wow. Who's going to be the one, eh? Who's going to be the one that takes it? Oh, wow. Yeah, Prusky, I think that's a good call, actually. A very, very solid second. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. It was a clean race from start to finish. Next to no issues after he got by Dadson in the Viper. And he kind of just ran away with it there. So, of course, Race Fan cannot be denied. He was miles ahead and untouchable, but Prusky was just as dominant over the rest of the field. So, very well done to him as well. Yeah, Race Fan, a Kiwi as well. Well pointed out, Donny Baseball. One of the Kiwis taking the win. I think that might be the only Kiwi of the series to win this particular round. So nice for a little bit of a change, eh? Ghost's not happy with it. All right, well, thank you very much, guys. Thanks, D-Flow, for the call. You did a great job in your debut, mate. It was really good to have you here. That was an awesome job. And Ghost, thanks for your call in race 1 as well, and for providing stream support as we come towards the end and try to do maths. First mistake. Cheers for that. It has been fantastic. I've been ASR Atom, and this has been Sector 1 Sim Racing Round 3 at Red Bull Ring in the wet. Be sure to tune back in next week as the championship goes to... Oh, which track are we going to next week? I actually haven't had a look yet. Maggiore. All right, so back to a Sector 1 tried and tested track. So always makes for good racing, so make sure you tune into that. And thank you very much for watching this particular broadcast. I hope you've had a great time, and we will see you all again next week. This is bye-bye for now.